Hey, who's clicking?
That's me.
That's me.
I'm actually going to walk down the Truth or Consequences and blow the dam near your house so that you're under 2 feet of water.
That's so fucked.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that dam's busted.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Wait, isn't it an earthen dam, though? How is it just bust randomly?
No, it's, I'll send you a pic.
You gonna
Same
send
way
me a
you
pic of
bust in the
your
bed,
dam
Dennis.
busting?
Foul.
Yeah. But fair.
It was back in like 1918 or something.
Yeah,
Back
build
when
them
the
up in
Great War ended. I remember 1890.
There's a U-boat in the reservoir.
No.
Somehow traveled there.
Hey,
This
it
is
could fit
Campbell.
one. It's quite large.
Oh, is it?
Don't ask me why I look at photos of the terrain near your house, Ezra.
Why did he Google map the distance between the dam and my house? And the elevation?
Why is he looking up cheap drones on AliExpress?
Are we still
Don't worry,
waiting?
I do in fact live downstream of the dam. So.
Oh, I know you do. The entirety of Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, lives
That's
downstream.
why would y'all
dam.
move somewhere like that?
Yeah, that's a
Don't
good
ask
question.
me.
You used to be Canadian, right?
Yeah, I miss I specifically miss New York.
Wait, so
New
you
York's
lived
not
in
Canada.
Yeah, I was going to say that's not Canadian. You're still a loathsome Yankee. Sorry, Greg.
No, I grew up in New York.
I'm a Midwestern. Damn it.
The beard's looking nice.
I
It's
did
about
guys
fucking
here.
time. Holy
Hi,
shit.
Jack.
Sorry about that. I know. I had to like switch over to my computer because this ancient fucking iPad doesn't want to.
Jack,
Well,
where are
because
you
your
recording
ancient
us
ass
from?
iPad,
It's
because
a
your
thing.
ancient ass iPad didn't want to work, you missed like good little segments that would have been great icebreakers.
Jack, from
Oh,
where are you
shit.
joining us tonight?
From where am I joining you? I'm actually at my workbench
no
tonight.
juice atrium.
No juice atrium, but I could bring the chairs in, make it all comfy. I actually moved a bed down here so I could sleep down here if I wanted to as
He's
well.
in the
He's gonna sleep next to his extra. Then.
That doesn't seem safe.
It's like a meter away.
he's got the
It's your
juice
air
bench.
freshener.
What's a meter?
Yeah, exactly.
3 feet.
A meter.
Ezra.
Shut the fuck up.
Oh, see, I understand.
It's not
those
3
units.
feet. It is not 3 feet.
Did we all do our
No, we've been
our
waiting for you.
intros? Oh, okay. Am I the first intro?
Well,
we
on
haven't
that note,
recorded.
you
We
are
haven't
listening
officially
to... whatever.
Have we started? Oh,
Oh,
we
We have
have.
now.
And on that confused note, you are listening to the Micro Machines podcast. And this week, for our special... We're recording on New... I know, Callum, this is probably, January 2nd for you, but for the rest of us,
Yes.
it's January 1st. So, Happy New Year's from us at the
Happy
Micro
New
Machines
Year.
podcast. And if you
Happy
live
New
in
Year.
New Zealand,
Happy New Year's.
happy work day.
It's
this
not a
week-
work day. I am back at work on the 9th. We actually have like a proper summer holiday where we get like 3 weeks off work fully paid. So, you know.
Someone mute... Hey, can someone mute Callum, please? I don't want to hear about this.
Actually, it's not a work.
Yeah, no, I'm actually on holiday. Yes.
I bet you're even recording from the beach and you've got the Barbie on.
I wish.
He's got the Barbie, the shrimps on the Barbie.
We call
Is
them
it the
prawns.
Barbie or is that an Aussie thing?
Oh no, I barbecue.
Oh,
I
he's an
definitely
Aussie.
barbecue, but we don't call them shrimp. We call them prawns. So that's how you know when someone isn't a fucking Aussie or a Kiwi, and they go, "Oh, throw some shrimp on the Barbie." So, that's fucking prawns, mate.
It's a fucking shrimp, Callum.
Nah,
Yeah.
same thing.
Well,
Same
since
thing,
I-
Callum. Aussies
Well,
and Kiwis.
since I'm the one talking, I'll start the introductions. So you got me, Callum, from New Zealand, not Australia. Fucking New Zealand.
No.
And if you keep saying that, I'll start calling Canadians
Australia.
Americans and Americans Canadians. All right?
You
Hey,
would.
I'll take that as a compliment.
You wouldn't.
You wouldn't.
I
You
would, because
wouldn't.
I would do. And
actually
I've
was.
just got water because I think I'm still hungover from New Year's. So
Callum, that's not
Jesus.
water, that's vodka.
Fun. All right. Speaking of Canadians, I'm up next. I'm Jack, recording from the bench tonight, and I got an orange bubbly because I'm a bitch.
Bubblies go hard. Bubblies are
Who's
really
up
nice.
next?
Yes, they're
No, they
amazing.
don't. No, they
Well,
don't.
you've got me, Dennis, recording
it's-
from just south of Jack. I am at the dual monitor setup tonight, not at the bench, and I'm drinking a nice instant coffee.
Nice. What brand? What brand
This
do you drink?
is, I don't know, it's just like the no-name brand you can get at Shoppers Drug Mart.
Oh, that's a crime.
I am Ezra, New Mexico, and I'm currently drinking nice thick eggnog and taking a selfie for an undisclosed person.
Tell them we say hi.
Boyfriend.
Oh.
Yeah, pretty much.
What?
Interesting.
Okay.
Well, I am Garrison, recording from my basement in Kansas. Hashtag Go Midwest.
Woohoo!
Drinking some spiked eggnog with some wonderful Canadian Club liquor. It is to die for.
That's how you do it, Ezra.
Well,
Well, he's
legally,
underage.
I can't agree to this, so
Hey,
I
Greg.
can.
Hey, Greg, is that when you say spiked eggnog, is that because you put whiskey in it, or is that because you spiked it into the ground just before recording?
We'll go with both. We'll go with
Hey,
both.
Jack,
About
you know,
that.
you know one thing I found out in Miami? They have way cooler
What?
bubbly flavors than they do up here. You know what I found? They had coconut
Oh,
pineapple.
probably.
Coconut pineapple, man.
What the hell?
It-
What do you
it
mean that's
tasted-
gross? That shit's good.
No, it tasted like sunscreen.
The
It
pina
tasted like
colada
sunscreen.
bubbly?
I'm not even kidding.
Oh, get the fuck out of here.
Well, all
Yeah,
bubbly
I'll
kind of
admit
tastes
that,
like
yeah.
sunscreen.
Well,
On that note,
on that note,
Oh.
Well,
that eggnog goes down smooth.
hang
I
on,
bet
hang
it
on, let me
does,
see.
Ezra.
Mm. Woo! God damn. I think I put a little more than half in there. I'm gonna get funny later in this episode. So.
as if you aren't already. Well, on that note, Callum, speaking of funny,
This will the funniest
speaking of
MMP
funny,
episode.
Callum, what will we be discussing this week for our special New Year's episode?
So we started last year's with armor. So this year we're going to start with an aircraft, and I just
Oh, can we do boats next
if you
year?
want to host it, yeah.
Hell yeah. Okay.
So I figured I'd start the year off with the Hawker Hurricane because it is one of my most favorite aircraft. I always say that all
Literally
the
one
time,
of
but
the
that's because I
nicest
like
looking
a lot of
airplanes.
aircraft equally. All aircraft are equal.
Such a nice looking plane.
It is a lot
It's
of
a,
people.
it's a
nice.
thick Spitfire.
Yeah. But
What, you
before,
like 'em skinny?
as always, we speak
No,
of the Hurricane.
It's the better
We
Spitfire.
need to talk about what happened before. So, as you can all see, these are
I'll
all
bite Callum.
Hurricanes.
What is a Hawker Hurricane?
Shut up.
I'll get to it. So, during the early 30s, when the Hawker Aircraft Company developed the Hurricane, at that time, RAF Fighter Command had just 13 squadrons of aircraft. And they were primarily equipped with the Hawker Fury, the Hawker Demon, or the Bristol Bulldog, all biplanes with a fixed-pitch wooden propeller and non-retractable undercarriage, as we can see in the pics. At the time, there's an institutional reluctance towards change within the air staff. Go figure there. I mean, that was kind of the running. That's kind of the running theme of British military in a nutshell, really. Some senior figures were prejudiced against the adoption of monoplane fighter aircraft, while mid-level officials were typically more open-minded. So, in 1934, the British Air Ministry issued specification F.5/5/34 in response to demands within the Royal Air Force for a new generation of fighter aircraft. earlier, during 33, British aircraft designer Sidney Camm, which we'll be discussing in a bit, had conducted discussions with Major John Buchanan of the dictatorial. Oh, for fuck's sake! Of a technical development of a monoplane. Yeah. First episode of the year, right? I need to get into the swing of things.
He talked to the fellas who made the planes, and
he actually talked to the fellas who helped with the technical development.
So he talked to the fellas who thought about making the planes, but didn't actually make the planes.
So they wanted to make a development on a monoplane based on the existing Fury. Mason attributes Camm's discussions with figures within the RAF, such as Squadron Leader Ralph Sawley, as having provoked the specification and some of its detail, such as the preference for armament being installed within the wings instead of the aircraft's nose, which is pretty interesting. There's a little reason as to that. So an outline of the Fury monoplane, armed with 2 guns in the wings and 2 in the nose, and powered by the Goshawk, was prepared and discussed, but it didn't really go anywhere. Going down in my notes. So basically, initially in the RAF, they were against developing monoplane fighters. They liked the biplane design. They didn't really like change at all. I mean, they had to fight tooth and nail with the RAF officials to actually, change things, experiment, get new designs out there. They were very much, they liked what they knew and they knew what they liked, sort of thing.
Question for you, Callum.
Go for it.
So, I'm not big on my aircraft. Is there any technical reason why the Air Ministry might want to retain biplanes over monoplanes?
Generally, biplanes are a bit more stable. They're easier to make. The designs are very simple. They're lighter, tad more maneuverable at lower speed. And of course, this is in the 30s and early 20s as well, where aircraft weren't that fast to begin with. So, that was some of the main reasons, basically.
So in theory, at least in the 1920s and maybe even the early 1930s, you could make the argument that these were a better option than at least whatever monoplanes were coming out at the time.
At the time, yeah. However,
times change.
Yeah, countries like the Soviet Union and Germany were looking into replacing all of their biplanes with monoplanes, as well as Japan as well. It's just Britain was a little bit behind. Even America at this point, we're starting to roll out stuff like the P-26 and the Curtiss P-36 as well. This is in 1934. So, next note, talking about how they wanted to put machine guns in the wings. The reason is, in July 1934, at a meeting chaired by Air Commodore Arthur Tedder, Director of Training, the Air Ministry Science Officer Captain F.W. Gunner Hill presented his calculation showing that future fighters must carry no fewer than 8 machine guns, each capable of firing 1,000 rounds per minute. Hill's assistant in making his calculations was actually his 13-year-old daughter, Hazel Hill.
Hey, sweetie, how many guns should they have?
Of the decision to place 8 machine guns in fighters, Clyde Hilton Keith, at the time Assistant Director of Armament Research and Development, says the battle was brisk and was carried into very high quarters before the implementing authority was given. My branch had made out a sound case for 8-gun fighters, and if this recommendation had not been accepted, we had been content with half measures that might indeed have gone ill for us during the late summer of 1940, which we all know what happened there.
I imagine the 8 guns would sound something like this, right?
Yeah,
thanks for the copyright strike, buddy.
No, it was free to use.
YouTube won't think so.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
So I
Just
think I might
censor
do
that whole thing.
just for the hell of it.
If you're listening to this and you wonder
Big
what the
bleep.
whole bleep was, Ezra said something very, very mean.
We won't say to which group.
Racially motivated.
Now, so the mock-up conference with Air Ministry staff was on the 10th of January 1935 in Kingston. The Ministry ordered to purchase a prototype to the September proposal was placed on 21st February 1935. At the time, the armament was 2 Vickers Mark V machine guns in the fuselage and 1 Browning machine gun in each wing. Work on stressed outer skin wings to replace the fabric-covered ones began in July, and contract was altered in August to include another set of wings with 8 guns in them. The guns were either to be Vickers or Brownings. These were delivered in June 1936. So this is just a prelim to how the Hurricane came to be. You know, they wanted to make a new monoplane because monoplanes were fast. You could get faster. They could carry more armament and closer. There's a reason the Hurricane had the 8 in the wings close together, as opposed to spread out, or other countries did them in the nose and the wings and all that. So, if we go to the next slide, we'll just have a quick discussion about the designer, Mr. Sidney Camm. He's got one hell of a history.
Man, this guy's prolific.
Yeah, as you can see, all 6 aircraft you see on the slide, he helped work on. He worked on himself.
This man went from the Hurricane to the Harrier. What the hell?
Yeah.
Bro was inventing everything. He's the ultimate modeler.
Yeah. So
I mean, look at him. He's got a model right here.
Yeah.
This guy built Tamiya.
I don't think he did back then.
Shinsaku.
You can see young Shinsaku in the back there.
So, the designer, Sidney Camm, he was born at 10 Elmer Road in Windsor, Berkshire. The eldest child of 12. Wow, Jesus.
Holy fuck, his poor mother.
And the most successful.
In 1901, he began attending the Royal Free School on Bachelor's Acre in Windsor. Jesus Christ, that is one hell of a name for a school. In 1906, he was granted a foundation scholarship. In 1908, Camm left school to become an apprentice carpenter. He developed an interest in aeronautics. Camm and his brothers began building model aircraft, which they supplied to Herbert Elton High Street shop. Damn, so he was building what?
Yeah.
2 models before he went on to the actual aircraft. Oh,
Yeah,
hang on.
That's all of us.
We should listen in on this one. After finding that they could obtain a higher price, they began making direct sales to boys at Eton College, which were delivered in secret to avoid attracting attention of Herbert and school authorities. So he created a modeling black market.
He's one of us. He's literally one of us.
One of us.
HIDF. One of the founding fathers.
These activities led him to being one of the founders of the Windsor Model Airplane Club in early 1912. His accomplishments as a model airplane builder culminated in a man-carrying glider, which he and others at the club built in 1912. So he just started upscaling his models.
So if anyone ever tells you that scale modeling is not a serious hobby, just tell them about this guy.
I mean, upscaling his models. That's what I did with my Iltis. Yeah.
So, shortly before the start of World War I, Camm obtained a position at a shop floor carpenter in the Martinside Aircraft Company, which was located in the Brooklands Racing Circuit in Weybridge, Surrey. His ability soon led to his being promoted to the drawing office, where he spent the war period. After the company went into liquidation in 1921, he was employed by George Hanside, who had created his own aircraft manufacturing company, which was responsible for the creation of the Handyside monoplane. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know. You know me and my
That's
track
British.
record.
Who cares?
Yeah, who cares? It wasn't in November 1923. He joined the Hawker Aircraft Company, later Hawker Siddeley, based in Canberra Park in Kensington upon Thames, as a senior draftsman. His first design was the Signet, the success which led to his being appointed as chief designer in 25. Now, during his employment at Hawker, he was responsible for the creation of 52 different types of aircraft, of which a total of 26,000 were manufactured.
Wow.
Holy.
Yeah, that's pretty decent. Among his early designs was the Tomtit, Hornbill, Nimrod, Hart, and Fury. At one time in the 30s, 84% of the aircraft in the RAF were designed by Camm.
How many hours or how many aircraft did you say he put on?
52 designs with a grand total of 26,000 made.
Yeah, sounds like a part-timer to me.
Yeah, light work,
rookie
light
numbers.
work. Wait, Callum. So those 52 designs, were all of them like? Did they all get off the drawing board, and were they all manufactured to one degree or another, or like did some of them remain basically like in the prototype phase, whereas others became more successful? Yeah.
I
I'm
assume
not sure,
some
because
are
it just says
prototypes.
responsible for the creation of 52 different types of aircraft, but they don't say whether they were... Usually it's like he designed aircraft, whereas that says created. In my mind, created means they were built.
Well, I mean, the RAF did operate a whole bunch of different aircraft, so I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah. But, I mean, he did
That's true.
design 84% of the aircraft in the RAF, so
Holy.
that's pretty good.
Like
My man was in the
personally,
shop
or
building them himself.
Wait, Prime Minister Churchill, give me some more extra then.
Yeah, I think the way they do it, Jack, is you have a team and a lead designer, and then basically what they get given is
right.
a requirement, and they have standards that need to be attained, like how fast a plane should go, height, how high it should fly, all of that. You get these specifications. Yep, that's the word I was looking for. Specifications, and then basically a team lead and his design team design an aircraft around those specifications.
So him and all of his little pandas designed
Yep.
most of the RAF.
So after
Crazy.
that, he moved on to designing airplanes that would become mainstays of the RAF in the Second World War, including the Hawker Hurricane, the Hawker Typhoon, and Hawker Tempest. There's a quote. One of his team was quoted. Camm had a one-track mind. His aircraft were right, and everybody had to work on them. And everybody had to work on them to get them right. If they did not, then there was hell. He was a very difficult man to work for, but you could not have a better aeronautical engineer to work under. With regard to his own staff, he did not suffer fools gladly, and at times many of us appeared to be fools. One rarely got into trouble for doing something either in the ideas line or in the manufacturing line, but woe betide those who did nothing or put forward an indeterminate solution. Interesting. Seems like a nice guy.
Seems like a knob.
So, also, among the engineers who worked with Camm at Hawker were Sir Frederick Page, later to design the English Electric Lightning, Leslie Appleton, who later designed the advanced Fairey Delta II and Britain's first air-to-air missile, the Fairey Fireflash, Stuart Davis, who joined Avro in 1936 and was later chief designer of the Avro Vulcan, Roy Chaplin, who became the chief designer at Hawker in 1957, and Sir Robert Lickley, who later became chief engineer at Fairey. So it was quite an interesting team he had working for him at the time as well.
So you could argue that he was in kind of indirectly an inspiration for basically most of the iconic British aircraft of the 20th century.
Yeah. I mean, Yep.
Along
Yeah.
with Canadian ones too.
But the fact that he was still around, he helped design the Harrier, the Sea Fury, the Hawker Hunter, Hurricane, Typhoon, Tempest. That's a pretty good career to have. That was a pretty good one. Anyway, so if we go to the next slide, I've got a lot of notes, but I'll try and condense it down. So this is the prototype, designated K5083. So at
Look
the
at
end
that
of August.
propeller.
Yeah, so
Ugh,
this is
two-bladed.
this is the prototype. So at the time, they had wooden two-bladed props. You know, no three-blade fixed pit, variable pitch or anything like that. There was very basic wooden props. So by the end of August 1935, work on the airframe had been completed at Hawker's Kingston upon Thames facility, and the aircraft components were transported to Brooklyn, Surrey, where Hawker had an assembly shed. The prototype was fully reassembled on 23rd of October 1935.
I do see a lot
after
of the
this.
influence of the Fury in this design. You can look at the two of them and say, oh yeah, there's more than a passing resemblance.
Oh, you can see the
Yeah.
The
Fury,
fuselage,
even
especially,
the earliest, the car door style Typhoon.
Typhoon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, where it had the it's very very similar.
Well, hey, if the design ain't
Yeah,
broke,
good
don't
point
fix it.
Going
yeah.
off on a bit of a tangent, why did the early Typhoons have a car door instead of the sliding bubble canopy, like on later models?
They hadn't really gone into bubble canopies at that point. They hadn't really made anything like that before. Like even the Mustangs had birdcage or ridgeback, early Thunderbolts. I have a feeling it's probably due to them not being able to. I don't know.
Well, I mean, you think about the canopies; they're not bulletproof, are they? I don't think the bubble canopies are armored glass. I could be wrong on that.
I think it was more just how to make them and design them.
Well, that's what I was getting at. Is like
Yeah.
it's you have to manipulate the glass in such a way as to actually get it to like form into that very very specific shape. Whereas if you've got the car door right, you basically just need straight panes of glass, as it were.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
is true.
When you think about it, the bubble canopy was a huge tactical advantage for any fighter that had it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Which makes you wonder why the BF-109 never got something like what the Focke-Wulf had. Like that retained the birdcage all the way through.
Yeah, it's a good question. It's probably just a case that they say, oh, well, we've got this design, it works, and probably it's the case of the BF-109s. By the time that, bubble canopies are becoming more prevalent and easier to manufacture, the war's progressed to a point where the BF-109s aren't even necessarily fighting in as much of a role where they would need a bubble canopy, because a lot of them got converted for ground attack, right?
A lot of them, yeah.
Yeah. That could be a reason, arguably.
Well, you also got to think that by the time these things were prevalent, wasn't the Luftwaffe like not much of a thing anymore?
Yeah, that too.
They were on the way out. Yeah, you could say that.
I think they had more prevalent issues. And hey, how do we redesign our canopy?
I gotta say though, yeah, go for it.
I've got a question regarding this specific prototype here. So the Hurricane, it's a wooden aircraft, right? Like it's known as quote-unquote wooden aircraft because a lot of the parts were wooden. But I'm seeing here, like, basically forward of the cockpit, it looks like it's basically all metal. So do you know roughly, like, in a ratio, how much of the aircraft was wood versus how much was metal? Was like, was a quarter of it a metal construction, or like, what are we looking at here?
A lot of Hurricanes, they were fabric covered. So the back half of the fuselage and wings are generally a lattice work or like framework.
Yeah,
and then they're covered in in canvas usually, and it's dope, or it's usually fabric covered. and then all the parts that hold major components like the engine, the cockpit, all that is all metal.
Right, fair enough.
Yeah.
So it's just like those Guilos models you used to build as a kid, where you'd have to cut out all the balsa.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say
Yeah,
that.
basically, it's actually one thing. That's one thing in the design that led the Hurricane. That didn't. There, especially a lot of British bombers as well. You look at the Wellington, that could take a lot of damage and not get shot down. And it's purely the way that's all designed. You got the fabric and all that. You can punch holes through fabric, and it's not going to do that much. And plus, there's nothing. There's nothing for any of the bullets to do anything. I think a lot of the time the incendiary rounds would just pass through because they wouldn't hit anything hard enough to set them off.
Well, no wonder why. Like, half the aircraft isn't even actually there. It's just an illusion. It's just canvas.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're playing a smart game here. It's percentage. It's probability. What's the probability that you're going to get hit? Well, if half the aircraft is actually just covered by canvas, well, then you've only got a 50% chance of actually getting a damaging hit.
Exactly. I think it's also it is a hang up of the old way of making aircraft, because that's the old way of the biplanes and stuff, is wooden frame, or I think this is metal frame, but it was basically frame and canvas covered. So it's still a sort of, you're still seeing early design meeting new requirements, new standards. It's it's that sort of weird period.
Well, oftentimes we can actually learn a lot from the way things used to be done.
Oh yeah. So now, in the course of the RAF trials, this is for prototype K5083. Despite the problems with the Merlin engine, which had suffered numerous failures and necessitating several changes, this is a thing of early Merlin engines. The Rolls-Royce Merlin is a fantastic engine, but the early ones, there still needed some tweaking. There's a reason why a lot of aircraft didn't employ the Merlin at the time. And there were enthusiastic reports were produced on the aircraft and its performance. The trials had proved the aircraft to possess a maximum level speed of 315 miles an hour. That's 507 kilometers an hour, at an altitude of 16,200 feet, or 4,900 meters. It had a climb to 15,000 feet in 5.7 minutes, and a stalling speed of 57 miles an hour, which was only marginally better than the Gladiator biplane. In the course of further testing, it was found the Hurricane had poor spin recovery characteristics, in which all rudder authority could be lost due to shielding in the rudder. Hawker's response to the issue was to request that spinning tests be waived, but the Air Ministry refused the request, thank God. But in early 1936, the Hawker Board of Directors had decided, in the absence of official authorization and at company expense, to proceed with the issue of the design drawings to the Production Design Office to start tooling up for a production line capable of producing a batch of 1,000 Hurricanes. And that's how we get to the next slide, please. The Mark I. So the Mark I, first production version with fabric-covered wings, a wooden two-blade fixed-pitch propeller, or some of them did come with a three-blade two-pitch propeller, powered by the 1,030 horsepower Rolls-Royce Merlin Mark II, or Mark III engines, and armed with 8.303-inch Browning machine guns, produced between 1937 and 1939. So this is the very, very first ones. If you want to make... I really want to make a model of one of these purely for the camouflage. Very early war Hurricanes as a sort of identification for AA batteries. You'll notice that the early ones didn't use any sky color or anything underneath, right? You know what they did?
What they do?
They painted half the aircraft underneath black and the other half white.
Oh, that's right.
Literally straight down the middle.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool.
Wasn't that like on Spitfires as well?
Yep, early
Yeah.
Spitfires, all early aircraft had it
That is
as an
pretty cool.
identifier for AA batteries so they can identify with friends or foe. Eventually they switched to just having sky color because turns out the AA batteries either couldn't see the coloring, didn't know the distinguishing factors, or just didn't care and they just shot at it. So eventually they just removed it as surplus to requirement, basically, because it didn't really work. Yeah. But, oh yeah,
very good.
I
Good
would
for
say the black
modeling,
and
though.
white underneath
Damn.
looks amazing on a model. Seriously. So, with the Mark 1, if we go to the next slide. So there's a little bit of pre-war. Primarily in 1938, the first 50 Hurricanes had reached squadrons, and at that time had been assessed that the rate of production was slightly greater than the RAF's capacity to introduce new aircraft, which had already been accelerated. Accordingly, the British government gave Hawker the clearance to sell excess aircraft to nations that were likely to oppose German expansion. As a result, there were some modest export sales to other countries. At the earliest opportunity, a former RAF Hurricane 1 was dispatched to Yugoslavia for evaluation purposes. Shortly after this, an order of 24 Hurricane Mark 1s for the Royal Yugoslav Air Force was received. This was followed by the purchase of a production license for the Hurricane by Yugoslavia. Yugoslavian Hurricanes saw action against the Luftwaffe during the invasion of Yugoslavia in 1941. Also, at the end of August 1934, 14 Hurricanes had been sent to Poland. However, these aircraft never reached Poland and ultimately were sold to Turkey. 7 ex-RAF Hurricanes were sent to South Africa, another 13 to Turkey, 13 more to Belgium, 21 to Canada, including one as a pattern for Canadian Car and Foundry. Yes, Canada built Hurricanes.
There we go.
Yep. One went to Iran, another one went to Poland, 3 to Romania, and 12 to Yugoslavia. All the built for export aircraft were taken from the RAF order, and all originally had RAF serial numbers. Further exports were done in the final 4 months of 1939 and early 1940. Yeah. So that's pre-war. If we go to there next, we have a strange period in the Second World War called the Phony War. Does anyone know what the Phony War was?
Oh, I know this one.
Go for it.
So early on, basically after Britain declares war on Germany, basically from 1939, what was it, September 1939? Yeah, and then it was basically until what?
Yeah.
Callum, what's traditionally considered the end of the Phony War? Was it the evacuation of Dunkirk?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Operation Dynamo.
I thought it was... Okay, no, never mind. Yeah, you're right.
So basically, yeah, from the when Britain declared war on Germany in 1939, all the way until the evacuation from Dunkirk, when the British Expeditionary Force was in France, it was basically a period where there wasn't a huge amount of fighting done. I mean, there was fighting, but it wasn't at, say, the level that would be reached in places like North Africa. And basically, the Phony War term basically came to represent the idea that they were at war with Germany, but because things weren't really cooking off yet, it was almost the idea that, like, yeah, there's a war, but it's kind of fake. I don't know really how best to describe it.
Yeah, basically it was...
They weren't at all-out war, but there were,
It's like the declared war, but they weren't really at war, sort of thing.
Yeah, de jure they were at war, but de facto they weren't.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That changed rapidly.
As we shall see.
So, during the Phony War, owing to the Hurricane's rugged construction, ease of maintenance and repair in the field, and its docile landing and takeoff characteristics, coupled with a wide-track undercarriage, it was selected to go to France as the principal RAF fighter. Hint, hint, it was better than the Spitfire in this respect. Yeah, we might get some hate for that, but one thing I like about the Hurricane. So, Two Hurricane squadrons, number 1 and number 73, formed 67 Wing of the Advanced Air Striking Force. That sounds cool, doesn't it? What are you part of? The Advanced Air Striking Force.
It does.
It's not just the Air Strike Force, it's the Advanced Air Strike Force.
Oh, yeah. While two
They know
more,
what they're
number
doing.
85 and number 87, formed 60 Wing of the Air Component BEF, or British Expeditionary Force. I fucked that up, didn't I? Fuck it.
Nah, you're fine.
So, while the two squadrons of number 60 Wing had their Hurricanes painted in the standard colour scheme and markings of home-based fighters, those of number 67 Wing differed considerably. It was probably because number 1 and number 73 squadrons were operating in close proximity to French fighter squadrons that these units painted red, white, and blue stripes over the entire height of the rudders on their Hurricanes in a similar manner to the standard French Air Force national markings. As the French squadrons were not familiar with the British use of code letters, and there could have been a cause for error in the aircraft identification, both Hurricane squadrons removed their squadron identification letters, leaving the grey-painted aircraft letter aft of the fuselage roundel. The
Leave
decision
it to French. Leave it to the French to mess up this operation.
Bloody French. Ugh.
They could
It's
be
not
messed
like
all they had to do was build a little
always the
model of the
French.
Hurricane so they knew what to look for, but no.
Yeah. Is it they couldn't understand or wouldn't understand?
they wouldn't. They're too fucking. I know our country's almost, gone, but fuck you guys. We'll go down. It's fucking pricks.
So, on 24th of August 1939, the British government gave orders partially to mobilise, and number 1 Group RAF sent its 10 Ferry Battle Day bomber squadrons to France, according to plans established by the British and French earlier in the year. The group was the first echelon of the RAF Advanced Air Striking Force and flew from bases in Abingdon, Harwell, Benson, Biscombe Down, and Bicester? Fuck it.
Well done. You gave it your best.
Yeah, I gave it my best and I still failed. The Group HQ became the AASF when the order to move to France was received and the home station HQ's wings were sent over. They were mainly assigned to escorting duties independent of the air component BEF. The Hurricane had its first combat action on 21st of October 1939, at the start of the Phoney War. That day, a flight of 46 Squadron took off from Northcote Satellite Airfield on the Lincolnshire coast and was directed to intercept a formation of 9 Heinkel HE-115B float planes from... Oh, I am not attempting to pronounce that.
Some German squadron.
Yeah. They were searching for ships to attack in the North Sea. The Heinkels, which were flying at sea level in an attempt to avoid fighter attack, had already been attacked and damaged by two Spitfires from 72nd Squadron when 6 Hurricanes intercepted them. The Hurricane shot down 4 of the enemy in rapid succession, 46th Squadron claiming 5 and the Spitfire pilots 2. In response to a request from the French government for the provision of 10 fighter squadrons to provide air support, Air Chief Marshal Sir Hugh Dowding, Chief and Commander of RAF Fighter Command, insisted that this number would deplete British defences severely, and so initially only 4 squadrons of Hurricanes were sent, and they mainly kept Spitfires back for home defence. And yeah, so that's the Phoney War. Basically, just not a lot happened. But during this time, if we go to the next slide, we have a brand new Mark. So this is what was called the Hurricane Mark 1 revised. So it wasn't a Mark 2; they just revised the Mark 1.
So a three-blade prop.
Yeah, basically.
What's the
revised Hurricane Mark 1 series built with a de Havilland or Rotor constant speed metal propeller. metal-covered wings, armor, and other improvements. A total of 4,200 Mark 1s were built, 1,924 by Hawker, 1,085 by Gloucester Aircraft Company, and 426 by Canadian Car and Foundry between December 1937 and 1941. The Canadian Car and Foundry Hurricanes were shipped to England to be fitted with engines. So basically, they were just updating the Mark 1s. And it was these that we used, if we go to the next slide, in the Battle of France.
R35. Wait, no, that's on R35. I apologize.
Isn't it?
No, this one. That's not on R. I thought
Which one were you looking at?
No, it's a Samoa.
No, that's a Char.
Yeah, they're both
The engine
Samoas.
grills.
Oh, it is a Samoa.
Man, confusing
You're
those tanks.
Leave it to the French.
Good riddance.
Don't leave it to the French, actually.
Dennis, do you know what the Battle of France is? You know the phony war? What's the Battle of France?
The closest thing that we have to the Gulf War, but in 1940.
That is so rude.
I'm sorry.
So basically, the Battle of France is when things really started kicking off in the war. This is when Germany, because Germany invaded, Poland, Czechoslovakia, all of them first. They left France alone for a while. And then basically they decided to go around the Maginot Line instead of trying to go through it, and invaded France. That was what they ultimately wanted to do, was invade France because they're, neighbors. So, so in May 1940, numbers 379 and 504 squadrons reinforced the earlier units as Germany's Blitzkrieg gathered momentum. On 10th of May,
the Blitzkrieg.
Yep, your favorite. On 10th of May, the first day of the Battle of France, Flight Lieutenant R.E. Lovett and Flying Officer Fanny Orton of 73 Squadron were the first RAF pilots to engage enemy aircraft in the campaign. They attacked one of three Dornier Doe 17s that were flying over their airfield flying over their airfield. I'm not pronouncing that. The Dornier went away unscathed, while Orton was hit by defensive fire and had to force land. On the same day, the Hurricane squadrons claimed 42 German aircraft, none of them fighters, shot down during 208 sorties. Seven Hurricanes were lost, but no pilots were killed. It's not bad.
Oh.
200. What is that? 42.
That's all right.
42 for 7.
Yeah, that's all right.
So during the Battle of
there.
France, a lot of Hurricanes were used for escorting ferry battles. Those are the aircraft in the bottom left, single engine monowing light bombers, which got absolutely decimated.
I like that plane. It's pretty cool looking.
I've seen one in when I went to the RAF Air Force Museum in London. They have one there. It is surprisingly big. It is massive.
You know what I'm getting from this?
Is it?
You know how the Su-34, which is a bomber, looks like a fighter just because of the way it's designed? Yet it's actually massive. This is this exact same thing. It looks like a fighter, but it's not.
Yeah, it was actually a light bomber. Yeah.
Same,
So
but
it's
different.
like the same thing but opposite.
Yeah, it's a bit like the Hawker not the Sea Fury. No, the Fury
not the
Fulmar.
Barracuda.
The Fulmar was a fighter, but it was a two-person fighter.
F-14.
Yeah. Well, it had a navigator in the back, so yeah. Pretty
IL-2.
No, because it was a designated fighter. It wasn't a ground attack or anything. It was a naval fighter.
Top Gun would be a much better movie if it took place aboard a Royal Navy escort carrier in 1943.
I would love to watch that, but they'll probably screw the aircraft up. During the 11 days of fighting in France and over Dunkirk, from 10th to the 21st of May, Hurricane pilots claimed 499 kills and 123 probables. Yeah, that's a big claim.
In 11 days. Jesus.
Yeah, you don't get these numbers anymore, do you? You just don't. I wish we
gotta
did.
go back.
Contemporary German records examined post-war attributed 299 Luftwaffe aircraft destroyed and 65 seriously damaged by RAF fighters. So that's like half.
That's the last entire Canadian Air Force destroyed like 3 times over.
Yep. The last 66 Hurricanes of the 452 engaged during the Battle of France left France on 21st of June. 178 were abandoned at several airfields and set light. So, I mentioned Dunkirk. If we go to the next slide, you'll see what else the Hurricane participated in. Operation Dynamo. Or, Oh, and that camo scheme I talked to you about, bottom right, shows the black and white camo.
That's really dope.
Oh,
yeah,
beautiful.
You can see why I want to make that. So, what was Operation Dynamo? It was the evacuation from Dunkirk. A total of 27 Hurricane pilots became aces during Operation Dynamo, led by Canadian pilot officer W.L. Willie McKnight, who scored 10 victories, and pilot officer Percival Stanley Turner, who claimed 7 victories, who served in number 242 Squadron, consisting mostly of Canadian personnel. Losses were 22 pilots killed and 3 captured. Hang on, I've lost my notes here. Trying to get them back.
That's why we do editing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why you do editing.
Yeah.
No, we don't do editing. He does editing.
So so between 26th of May and the 3rd of June 1940, the 14 Hurricane units involved were credited with 108 air victories, a total of 27 Hurricane. So on 27th of May 1940, in one of the final mass encounters of the Blitzkrieg, 13 Hurricanes from 501 Squadron intercepted 24 Heinkel HE-111s, escorted by 20 Bf-110s. During the ensuing battle, 11 Heinkels were claimed as kills and others damaged, with little damage to the Hurricanes. On 7th of June 1940, Cobber Kane was the first RAF ace to go of the war. Got word that he was to return to England for rest leave at an operational training unit. On leaving his airfield, he put on an impromptu aerobatic display and was killed when his Hurricane crashed after completing a loop and attempted some low-altitude flick rolls.
Oh, man.
Don't be a fucking Top Gun asshole.
Just fly to the airfield.
Didn't so many pilots die doing that in World War II?
Yes, that dude. Yeah, especially in Spitfires and Hurricanes, because at that time they didn't use injection fuel. They just had a regular gravity-fed fuel tank. So if they did a barrel roll like that, it would starve the engine. That's where you can hear it.
That's funny.
Yeah. So that was Operation Dynamo, which was basically covering all the retreating ground forces. So they did their best. They lost some aircraft, but they did. I mean, Operation Dynamo was a success in some regards. There's still a lot. But there were a lot of people left.
In some regards.
Yeah. So if we go to the next slide. So this is what the Hurricane was mostly known for, Battle of Britain. Somewhat outshadowed by the Spitfire, although the Hurricane, I think, did a lot of work that was unappreciated, because everyone just sees Spitfire, looks good, fast, shoots down a lot of aircraft. As a bomber killer, the Hurricanes were better. For fighters, Spitfire was better, and that's how they were used a lot. Usually, Spitfires would intercept the escorting fighters. Hurricanes, they've got the 8 machine guns close together in the wings. They were much more stable. They were better as a gun platform. And they could basically just sit behind a bomber and then just shoot rounds into it. It was much better at it. So, as a fighter, the Hurricane had some drawbacks. It was slightly slower than both the Spitfire 1 and 2 and the Messerschmitt Bf-109E, and the thicker wing profiles compromised acceleration. But it could outturn both of them. In spite of its performance deficiencies against the Bf-109, the Hurricane was still capable of destroying the German fighter, especially at lower altitudes. The standard tactic of the 109s was to attempt to climb higher than the RAF fighters and bounce them in a dive. The Hurricanes could evade such tactics by turning into the attack or going into a corkscrew drive, which the 109s, with their lower rate of roll, found hard to counter. If a 109 was caught in a dogfight, the Hurricane was just as capable of outturning the 109 as the Spitfire. In a stern chase, the 109 could evade the Hurricane. In September 1940, the more powerful Mark II-A Series 1 Hurricane started entering service, although only in small numbers. This version was capable of a maximum speed of 342 miles an hour. The Hurricane was a steady gun platform and had demonstrated its ruggedness, and as several were badly damaged yet returned to base. The Hurricane's construction made it dangerous if it was caught on fire. The wood frames and fabric covering of the rear fuselage allowed fire to spread through the rear fuselage structure easily. The gravity fuel tank at the forward fuselage sat right in front of the instrument panel without any form of protection for the pilot. Many Hurricane pilots were seriously burned as a consequence of a jet of flame which could burn through the instrument panel. This became such concern to Hugh Dowding that he had Hawker retrofit the fuselage tanks of the Hurricanes with Linatex, a self-expanding rubber coating. If the tank happened to be punctured by a bullet, the Linatex coating expanded when soaked with petrol and sealed it. However, some Hurricane pilots felt that the fuel tanks in the wings, although they were also protected by a layer of Linatex, were vulnerable from behind, and it was thought that those, and not the fuselage tanks, were the main fire risk. That's a scary thought. Like, a jet of flame could go through, melt through your instrument panel and into you.
And you're fucked.
Yes, quite fucked, in fact.
Yeah.
Quite fucked, in fact.
So, from 10th of July to 11th of August 1940, RAF fighters fired at 114 German bombers and shot down 80, a destruction ratio of 70%. Against the Bf-109, the RAF fighters attacked 70 and shot down 54 of those, a ratio of 77%. It has been suggested that part of the success of the British fighters was possibly due to the use of the Wild Incendiary round. The Hurricane, with the highest number of kills during the Battle of Britain, was P-3308, a Mark I flown between 15th of August and 7 October 1940 by RAF auxiliary pilot Archie McKellar of 605 Squadron. He is credited with 21 kills, 19 of those in a Hurricane during the Battle of Britain. On 7th of October, he is credited with shooting down 5 Bf-109s, making him one of only 2 RAF pilots, the other one being Brian Cadbury of New Zealand, to become an ace in a day during the Battle of Britain. The only Battle of Britain Victoria Cross... Yeah, fuck, I've lost myself again. It's the beginning of the year. I need to edit this bit out. Holy shit,
It's
we're
all
already
good.
at 1 hour. I need to speed this up. That was the Battle of Britain. Next slide, please.
Bluetooth.
Yeah, you could fucking say that.
Yeah, it
For the
was.
Battle of Britain.
Okay, so this is one of the aircraft I mentioned. So this is the Hurricane Mark II-A Series 1. Their naming system for Hurricanes infuriates me to hell. So this was powered by the improved Merlin XX or Merlin 20, depends on if you're Roman or not. So the Merlin 20 engine with a two-speed supercharger. This new engine used a coolant mix of 30% glycol and 70% water. Pure glycol is flammable, so not only was the new mix safer, but the engine also ran approximately 21 degrees Celsius or 70 Fahrenheit cooler, which gave longer engine life and greater reliability. The new engine was longer than the earlier Merlin, so the Hurricane gained about 4.5 inch plug in the front of the cockpit, which made the aircraft slip.
4.5 inch plug.
I always say it's big.
Yeah.
So this made the aircraft slightly more stable due to the slightly forward shift in center of gravity. First flown on 11th of June 1940 and went into squadron service in September 1940. Hawker built 418 and Gloucester Aircraft Company built 33 of these. Which moves us to the next one, if we're good. So this is the Hurricane Mark II-B, or the Mark II-A Series 2. You see why I was getting annoyed with this, right?
And you bitch about the Americans.
Too.
I still will. That hasn't changed.
Yeah.
One little detail. So on the those 450 cals on the wing, it looks like one of them is patched up. Is that the fabric covering they use to like
They're
keep
30
dirt and
cals.
stuff?
Well, they're .303s.
Oh, my bad. Are those the patches they put over to keep like the dirt and stuff from falling in?
I think so. Yeah. So this is the Mark II-B or Mark II-A Series 2. These were fitted with racks allowing them to carry two 250-pound bombs or two 500-pound bombs. This lowered the top speed of the Hurricane to 301 miles an hour, but by this point, mixed sweeps of Hurricanes carrying bombs protected by a screen of fighter Hurricanes were not uncommon. The same racks allowed the Hurricane to carry two 45 Imperial gallon or 200-litre drop tanks instead of the bombs, nearly doubling the Hurricane's fuel load. Hurricane Mark II-A Series 2 was equipped with a slightly longer and newer propeller spinner and 4 additional wing-mounted .303 inch or 7.7 millimeter Browning machine guns for a grand total of 12 machine guns. Yeah.
Fucking kill it.
There we go.
You thought 8 was enough. No.
12, jeez.
12. Yeah.
You gotta really hate somebody.
And put
You
it this
messed
way.
with the wrong queen.
Yeah. That's 12 firing at 1,000 RPM each.
Oh no.
That's a lot of fucking ammo.
Jesus Christ.
It would.
What would that sound like, Ezra?
Again, but I imagine
No,
it would be
you can't.
fairly intense.
Yeah. So the first aircraft was built in February 1941 and was renamed Mark II-B in April 41. A total of 3,050 2Bs were built. 1,883 by Hawker, 867 by the Gloucester Aircraft Company, and 300 by the Austin Aero Club. So, after these came in around this time of the war, if we go to the next slide, you can see another theatre the Hurricane participated in, North Africa, which makes for some very cool camouflages. I'm a sucker for North African.
I
Yeah,
hate
those
the
are
desert.
really good colorizations.
Those are some good pictures.
Oh yeah, they're great photos, these ones. I love them.
Okay,
So,
I expect you to talk a little bit about these ones on the bottom right.
what are those ones? Hang on, I can't quite see.
Look underneath the wings.
Oh, I will. Don't worry, I will.
Okay.
Oh.
So,
I'm not seeing it. What?
Oh, you'll know. You'll be told.
yeah, you'll be told. So, a Hurricane Mark I undertook tropical trials in Sudan in mid-1939, and a number were hastily tropicalized following Italy's entry into the war in June 1940. These aircraft were initially ferried through France and Malta by air to 80 Squadron in Egypt, replacing Gladiator biplanes. The Hurricane claimed its first kill in the Mediterranean on 19th of June 1940, when Flight Officer P.G. Wycombe Barnes reported shooting down two Fiat CR-42 Falcos. Those are the Italian biplanes, which look really nice.
Yeah, I bet it looked real nice going down to the fucking ground after being hit with 12 50s.
30s. 303s.
30s.
Probably not.
Wasn't much to see anymore.
So Hurricane served with several British Commonwealth squadrons. They suffered heavy losses over North Africa with the arrival of the Bf-109E and F variants, and were progressively replaced in the air superiority role by Curtiss Tomahawk and Kitty Hawks. However, fighter bomber variants, also known as Hurra bombers, retained an edge in the ground attack role due to the impressive armament of 4 20mm cannons and a 500-pound bomb load. Yeah, basically they went from fighter into a fighter bomber in North Africa, which if you go to the next slide, you'll see. So this is the Mark IIB Tropical. So when Britain sent aircraft to North Africa, of course, you have, as Greg can tell you, a lot of sand. Sand is not good for vehicles.
Fuck no, it's not.
The desert is not good. It's too hot for vehicles.
Kills morale.
Yeah. So for use in North Africa, the Hawker Hurricane Mark IIB and other variants where they were tropicalized, as they call it. So they were fitted with Volks and Rolls-Royce engine dust filters, and the pilots were issued with a desert survival kit, including a bottle of water behind the cockpit. So you'll notice underneath here, compared to other Hurricanes, there's an extra sort of filter, air intake underneath the chin. So this shows you what a tropicalized version is, and it's basically this extra filter, plus different engine covers and all of that. So that's what they mean when it's a trop, is it's got this extra filter in it. So if we go to, because I mentioned the 20 mils, if we go to the next slide, this is the Mark IIC. Mark IIC. So these are Mark IIA Series 1s equipped with new and slightly longer propeller spinner and fully replaced the machine gun armament with 4 20mm Hispano Mark II cannons, 2 per side. The Hurricane 2A Series 2 became the Mark IIC in June 1941 using a slightly modified wing. The new wings also included a hardpoint for a 500 or 250-pound bomb and later in 1941 fuel tanks. By then, performance was inferior to the latest German fighters, and the Hurricane changed to the ground attack role, sometimes referred to as the Hurra bomber. The Mark also served as a night fighter and intruder, with about 3/4 converted to fighter bombers. There were 4,700 2Cs built by Hawker between February 1941 and July 1944. If you go to the next one, there is a very, very nice version.
Yeah,
there we go.
Greg, this is what we're talking about. The Mark IID.
Do tell.
This makes me happy in the no place.
Oh, hello.
Yes. Yep.
I see it now.
So.
When you
are you happy to see me?
He sees it.
The Hurricane Mark IID. These were armed with 2 40mm anti-tank autocannons in a gondola-style pod, one under each wing, and a single Browning machine gun in each wing loaded with tracers for aiming purposes. The first aircraft flew in 18th September 1941, and delivery started in 1942. Serial-built aircraft had additional armour for the pilot, radiator and engine, and armed with a Rolls-Royce gun with 12 rounds, later changed to the 40mm Vickers S gun with 15 rounds. The outer wing attachments were strengthened so that 4G could be pulled at a weight of 8,540 pounds. 4G, that's a fuckload.
Well, look at what the fuck you're carrying.
The weight of guns and armor protection marginally impaired the aircraft's performance. These Hurricanes were nicknamed Flying Can Openers, perhaps a play on the logo of No. 6 Squadron, which flew the Hurricanes starting in 1942. A total of 296 were built by Hawker between January 1942 and February 1943. These 40 mils are impressive.
We need to send these to
I want to
Ukraine.
build that.
Oh, I'm sad I tried.
Yes.
They've
Why
hit
not?
them all
Did you just say send them to Ukraine?
It's made out of wood. You can't even detect these things on radar.
That
That's a
actually is
good point.
Think
Just wanna
about
have a
it.
look.
They called me a madman.
They should bring the Fury back for Ukraine.
I just want to have a look at how much it could go through.
Callum, we're staying here. I hope you understand that. We're learning everything we can about the hurricane, and there's nothing you can do to stop it.
I just
You
want
know what
to
just
see how
struck me?
much they could go through.
So in North Africa, especially at say the start of it, right? Basically, the most effective British tank gun was the 2-pounder, which was a 40 millimeter.
Yep.
This thing has 2.
Yep. Hey,
Yeah.
oh, well,
Is this
I
a
would kill
tiger killer?
with it.
one moment. Claims by pilots using the Vickers S, which is the later one I told you about, included 47 tanks destroyed of 148 tanks hit, as well as nearly 200 other vehicles. However, Hurricane 2D was poorly protected for the ground attack role, and ground fire caused heavy losses. In addition, 40mm ammunition was seldom effective against vehicles as well armoured as the Tiger 1 heavy tank.
But there is a chance.
There is a chance if you hit the roof, I think. But, yeah.
So you could try turn the
1940
Tiger crew into
Give it a shot. See
marinara
what happens.
sauce. Oh god.
This sauerkraut.
Baby crap.
From 1944, Hurricanes armed with the Vickers S served in the Southeast Asian theatre. In most cases, high explosive ammo was used against road vehicles and rivercraft. Assessments carried out in Southeast Asia showed a relatively high level of accuracy. An average of 25% of shots fired at tanks hit their target. By comparison, 60-pound RP-3 rocket projectiles only hit 5% against tank-sized targets.
25% hit their targets?
Yeah.
You're telling me? What?
That's insane.
Yeah, they had a higher...
What?
Yeah.
Callum, did these things converge?
And there's 2 of them too.
Were they
yes.
set to converge? That's why. Okay. God,
I have a feeling they would have, yeah.
Oh, God.
However, 40mm high explosive rounds were twice as accurate as AP rounds, possibly because the lower weight and higher velocity of the HE round gave it ballistics similar to that of the 303 that were used for sighting.
Good lord. 25%.
And yet they still went with the rockets in the end.
They should have just made these things bigger. Like, imagine a Hurricane carrying 4 of these.
Yeah, but then you'd have to make it more rigid.
The wings are just double the size.
HIDF Strike Fighter in 2023 is going to be this, but like you've got 2 of these pods under the wing and 2 on top of the wing.
Yeah.
Yeah, to make it more rigid, they reverse engineer it back into a biplane.
No, do what the Jaguar had and mount sidewinders to the top of the wings.
They need to go back to putting hard points on top of the wings. I don't know why they stopped that. That was cool.
Yeah.
How many aircraft even had that?
I think it was just the
Jaguars?
Jag.
The
Just
Lightning
Jag?
did.
Okay.
No,
Oh, yeah, you're right. The Lightning
the
did
Electric
do that.
Lightning did.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They put rocket pods on the top.
Oh, that's cool.
What? You know what? I bet the reason why they don't do it is because usually the missiles have to
Badass.
fall for a few seconds before the rocket motors ignite.
Probably.
It would be kind of embarrassing if your Sidewinder, you launched it and it just kind of falls onto your wing.
So, we have to deviate from the gloriousness of the Mark IID. There are some smaller run versions. So we have the Mark IIe. Designation was used. It was similar to Mark IV, but not. They call it the 4. The 2E was not an early Mark IV, although they're similar. On the bottom there, you can see the Mark T.2C Iranian Air Force. That was a 2-seat training version of the Mark IIC. Only 2 aircraft were built, and that was for the Imperial Iranian Air Force. So it's a Hurricane with a bubble dome.
That's cool. That's really cool.
So you had the Mark III Hurricane. That was to be powered by US-built Packard Merlin engines, intending to enable supplies for the British-built, intending to basically, Americans could push out even more engines than the British kit did. But however, by the time that these had started, British Merlin production had increased to a point where they just didn't need it anymore. There was one major change, and that's in the Mark IV, which is on the top left. So this introduced the universal wing design, a simple design that was able to mount the 250 or 500 pound bombs, or 2 40mm Vickers, or 2 40mm Rolls-Royce BH type guns, 2 SBCs or small bomb containers, or SCI smoke curtain installations, as well as drop tanks, or 8 60-pounder RP3 rockets. So the Mark IV was basically you could just put whatever you wanted on it. There was
Instead of Build-A-Bear, it's build your fucking loadout.
I'd love that. So there was a Mark V variant, which was the final, but there was about 3 prototypes for this, but they never really got through to it. It was just basically better engine. That was it. If you see any variants with an X, XI, XII, those are Canadian built. So that one there on the right, that's a Canadian.
The Hurricane Mark XXX.
Yeah. Yeah, and basically Canadians built along the same lines as the British. They just called them the Mark X, XI, and XII. That's all. And next slide, please.
Yeah, Dennis, you're nothing special.
They were the exact same, except they had Timbits in them.
And they ran on maple syrup.
A cup holder for your
I've built one of
TVs.
these.
Yep.
Ooh.
So Hurricanes were used as night fighter and intruders. So following the Battle of Britain, the Hurricane continued to give service through the Blitz of 1941. It was the principal single-seat night fighter for Fighter Command. Flight Lieutenant Richard Stevens claimed 14 Luftwaffe bombers flying Hurricanes in 1941. In 1942, the cannon-armed Mark IIC performed further afield as a night intruder over occupied Europe. Flight Lieutenant Karol Kutuwasha of 1 Squadron proved the top scorer with 15 Luftwaffe bombers claimed shot down. The year 1942 also saw the manufacture of 12 Hurricane II C and F night fighters equipped with pilot-operated air interception Mark IV radar. After a brief operational deployment with number 245 and 247 Squadron, these aircraft proved too slow for operations in Europe, and they were sent to India to serve with number 176 Squadron in the defense of Calcutta. They were withdrawn from service in December 1943. I do like the night fighter Hurricanes, though.
These look metal.
They are, yeah. What was the one that you built?
So I think I have a feeling I actually built this exact one, BE 500, and that was an Arma Hobby 1:72 scale Hurricane.
Was that a dedicated night fighter kit, or was that
It was
just decide?
So it had with Arma Hobby, they usually give you about 6 or 7 different versions, and like they have different configurations, so you have to pick which one. This one did have that specific night fighter scheme.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd actually highly recommend it. It was really nice to do. It had pre-cut canopy masks and whatnot.
Callum's
Oh,
already
wow.
looking on his website.
Great
Oh
hobbies.
wow!
Shout out.
Where did you
Yeah,
get
you
it
know
from?
if you worked there.
Really? Okay.
If you turned up
I'll
to
keep
work,
an eye
yeah.
Yeah. Lazy ass.
Calling him out on the potty.
What? You don't want to
Come
work
on.
at Dennis Martin's used tank dealership?
Used Tank Emporium.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got an Iltis for the
Hmm.
collection.
If you go to the next slide. So, one of the last major events that the Hurricanes are known for is the defense of Malta. So, the Hurricane played a significant role in the defense of Malta when Italy entered the war in 10th of June 1940. Malta's air defense rested on Gloucester Gladiators, which managed to hold out against vastly superior numbers of the Italian Air Force during the following 17 days. Initially, there were 6 Gladiators, though for a while, only 3 were able to be flown at any one time because of shortage of spare parts. And for whatever reason, 5 different explanations have been given for this. They became known as Faith, Hope, and Charity. 4 Hurricanes joined them at the end of June, and together they faced attacks throughout July from the 200 enemy aircraft based in Sicily, with the loss of 1 Gladiator and 1 Hurricane. Further reinforcements arrived on the 2nd of August in the form of 12 more Hurricanes and 2 Blackburn Stewards. Oh, that is a horrible aircraft, a Stewart.
Oh, the Stewards are nasty.
Wait,
Yeah.
what is a Stewart? It sounds familiar, but
It's a failed dive
imagine-
bomber, I think.
Imagine a Stuka, but made by the British. Yeah.
what's that wet sound?
Oh.
Oh,
They don't call
Well, that's me crumbling a
Ezra,
bag,
they
I'm
don't call it the
sorry. I
juice
can
bed
eat
for
that.
nothing. Come on, man.
The man's working now. Give him a break.
If we go to the next slide.
Ugh. What is
Have you
going
s-
on here? What the hell? It's
Am I
raining
right?
in aisle 2.
So the Soviets took possession
Yeah, it's
of
just an
Landry's
IL-2.
Hurricanes. They didn't like them that much. They thought them inferior to what they had and what the Germans had.
Soviets
But-
have no taste.
Yeah. But they still used them in air defense role, because they didn't have anything else. So, but they didn't like them a lot. So they mainly used them for convoy protection duties, escorts. One thing they did do is, if everyone looks at the top right, you'll see a Hurricane has been highly modified. What they did with the Hurricane was cut out the back part of the spine and put a simple canvas sling and mounted a machine gun rearward facing. And they would use these Hurricanes as artillery spotters. So they made a 2-seat Hurricane with a, I think they usually put in what's the machine gun with the pancake magazine? It's the
Dinner
DP-28.
plate.
Oh.
I think it's the DP-28. They usually put something like that
Mm.
in the back just for a attempt at an air defense. And they mainly use these variants as artillery spotters. One thing I want to point out, if you look at the Hurricane on the left, you'll notice there's something here that I wouldn't mind trying to replicate one day myself. You see how they got the star on the underwing?
Yep.
You can see, if you look closely, the roundel underneath it,
Mhm.
the
Oh,
original
that's cool.
marking. And then
Oh, that's
on
neat.
the fuselage, you can see the bottom of the star, which is
That's
different.
neat.
The background of it is being blanked out, which is different to the rest. They've put in Soviet markings, but you can see the original British serial number on the tail as well. So all they did was they got British painted and then just painted over their own stuff, but it's still showing through. I think that's just a neat note for anyone who wants to try and model one.
Those are the jankiest modifications. Like the one with the machine gun,
Yeah.
all they really needed was a
I
hand
mean,
It's
no
not
one
cool,
likes, no one likes an artillery fire control vehicle like me. However,
It does.
that is ghetto.
Yeah. Actually, you can probably make a
HIDF
pretty...
moment.
Pit by ride Eastern Front Edition.
This is literally HIDF.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
It
we
takes
should
an
do that to like
F-35,
some
cuts
modern
out
jet.
the area behind it, like
God.
the cockpit. Puts a DSHK in there.
Throw a machine gun in there.
If we go to the next slide,
A canvas.
they were also
seat.
used in the Far East. So here I found this is where New Zealand and Australia use them quite a bit in the Pacific. So that's a New Zealand Hurricane on the left with a very cool nose art.
Callum, you gotta make that just for the nose art.
About to say, you're telling me these things fought in the Pacific?
Yeah. Yep.
That's
I
awesome.
feel like that nose art could be considered racist nowadays.
Actually, not in New Zealand. We don't have cultural appropriation. We are all part of the culture.
Oh, that's awesome.
It must be
Imagine
nice
that.
having culture.
Yeah.
That is true.
So, yeah, exactly.
Nobody can
So-
get mad.
The Hurricane was used out in the Pacific. They were outclassed by the Zero, as well as the Nakajima Ki-43 Oscar. I mean, they did the best they could. They added on the 4 extra machine guns to the early ones. Did make them slower, but not as good. But yeah, they still did pretty well. I mean, the fact that the Hurricane could take a lot of punishment and didn't require a proper landing strip and all of that does make it pretty good for the Far East. Because that's one thing that they weren't known for was nice long flat runways. So they did their best. They did their best. The Dutch forces in Java used them quite a bit. But yeah. If we go to the next one.
Ooh,
And
yeah.
there were
yeah.
also
You guys drool over the Mark II-D. The Sea Hurricane is so much better.
So, yep, they did turn Hurricanes into naval fighters. They first started as just single-use escort carrier. So you see the top left, they used a catapult and ramp system, and just basically they were one-time use aircraft. There was no way to land them, so they just ditched them in the sea next to the boat, and the pilot got picked up.
Fuck that.
What an absolute flex. Yeah, we've got so many Hurricanes. We're just going to make them into disposable aircraft. What the hell?
Yeah.
That really
That's
is.
the perfect
Yeah,
HIDF backstory.
but later
though.
on, so the Sea Hurricane became operational in mid-1941. So that was kind of before they became official Sea Hurricanes. They just used standard Mark 1s.
Yeah, this will
Yeah.
take off.
Yeah,
Don't worry
it
about it.
flies. So Sea Hurricane became operational in mid-1941 and scored its first kill while operating from HMS Furious on 35th of July 1941. During the next 3 years, Fleet Air Sea Hurricanes were to feature predominantly while operating from Royal Navy aircraft carriers. The Sea Hurricane scored an impressive kill-to-loss ratio, primarily while defending Malta convoys and operating from escort carriers in the Atlantic Ocean. For example, on the 26th of May 1944, Royal Navy Sea Hurricanes operating from the escort carrier HMS Nairana claimed the destruction of 3 Ju-290 reconnaissance aircraft during the convoy defense. So there's quite a few marks. So you had the Sea Hurricane Mark 1A. So these were modified Mark 1s to be used by Camm ships, catapult-armed merchantmen. So those were the ditching ones. Then you had the Mark B, which had a arrestor hook for operating on HMS Furious. You had the Mark 1C, which just had better Merlin engines, and the Mark 2C, which had the 20 mils. So, yeah, pretty good naval fighters. And actually, they were better suited for aircraft carriers than the Seafire were, primarily because of the undercarriage. Because we know the Seafire and Spitfire, the undercarriage was very narrow and very thin, whereas the Hurricane is wider, opens out wide. It's got a nice strong base on it. So Hurricanes actually made better naval fighters than Seafires. And last but not least, the Finnish used them. And the
Ooh,
Finnish,
swastika, but not the right one.
Of course,
Yeah,
that's
so
where
the-
he picks up on that.
yeah. So one thing about the Finnish forces is they're very weird. It's like they're fighting against the Soviets, who are allied with the Allies. They're backed by the Nazis, but they were supplied by the Allies because they weren't really, like, it's a bit of a weird thing.
They're
So-
fighting everyone.
Yeah,
It's
they're just-
complicated.
the
It's
Finnish were just
basically-
basically fighting everyone and telling them to fuck off out. So just
Horizon
leave us
Islands.
alone. So during the Winter War, Finnish Air Force were in dire need of modern fighters and sourced them from several countries, including the United Kingdom. Finland bought 12 Hurricanes, and the delivery commenced on 2nd of February 1940. So the first batch arrived on the 29th of February. The last one arrived on the 10th of March. During the second batch flight, 2 Hurricanes were lost, one crashing in Norway and the other one being damaged during landing. So, at the start of the Continuation War, on 25th of June 1941, the Hurricanes were allocated to LLV-30, which is a squadron number. On 2nd of July 1941, a Hurricane was mistakenly shot down by friendly anti-aircraft fire. Oops. The Finnish Hurricanes first saw combat on 3rd of July when 3 Hurricanes encountered several Soviet fighters and shot down an I-153 Chaika. And the next day, the Hurricane shot down a Tupolev SB bomber. Other encounters with Soviet aircraft took place on 15th of July, with 2 I-153s claimed to be shot down. The last aircraft shot down by Finnish Hurricanes was an I-15 on 6th of January 1942. Yeah, so the Finns used a few of them. Didn't use them for long, but, you know, they look cool. I like the Finnish camouflage.
I agree.
So do I.
And
Yeah, it's
The
There's
roundel's
more.
pretty interesting.
yeah, there is one more that I want to talk about. One more thing. Polish number 303 squadron. Out of all the squadrons flying Hawker Hurricanes, Polish number 303 ended up with the highest kill score during the Battle of Britain. Out of the 16 total Polish squadrons with the RAF, they claimed the largest number of aircraft shot down of all 66 Allied fighter squadrons. So
Wow.
they claimed a grand total of 124 for the loss of
Holy shit.
126 kills in 6 weeks with the loss of 18 Hurricanes, which gives them the highest kill to loss ratio of 2.8 to 1.
They're on the top of the leaderboard.
They really are.
Yeah.
I think they were upset that they invaded their country.
Funny thing is, so that was their claim. If you go by other claims by the British and the Germans, it was a lot less. But even going by those numbers, they were still the highest ranking in all kills. The number 303 squadron was the best Hurricane squadron out there. They were really good. I know, right?
Yeah.
Why would you listen
Yeah.
to the British or the Germans?
If you go to the next
Yeah.
slide, I think this should be... Oh, just a quick word on this guy, Douglas Bader. An interesting character. Yeah.
He's
Believe it or not,
posh as hell. Look at that guy.
Yeah.
That's Ezra with his new Bluetooth
believe
glasses.
it or not, he has false legs. The legs that he has sitting on the Hurricane are not real. From the above
What are
the
they made
knee.
of?
Yeah, he lost his legs before the war in a flying accident. But he still insisted on learning how to fly, and he still flew Hurricanes during the Battle of Britain. In fact, he had one after a sortie flying back. He used to open his cockpit and then smoke a pipe on his way back. It was reported his wingman gave him a wide berth when he did that because there would be usually vapors coming off the engine, fuel vapors, and they weren't sure if it would blow up or not.
My
Fucking idiot.
man was smoking the jewel.
Yeah.
The Hurricane.
Eventually, he was shot down and captured by the Germans, where he continued to be a pain in the ass for them. He lost one of his false legs when he bailed out, so they actually respected him enough from his pre-war flying antics that they managed to get to greenlight a bombing run where the British dropped one of his spare prosthetic legs to him.
Oh my god.
That's awesome.
Subsequently, he became a pain in the ass because he tried to escape about 4 times, usually just walking out. Eventually, the Germans took his legs away from him, but Yeah. But the
Lost his leg
resulting
privilege.
backlash from the rest of the prisoners, they gave him back, which immediately he tried to escape again, so he was eventually sent to Holdits.
Oh my god.
What
Fuck
an
it, send the
absolute
bastard home.
king.
Yeah, he's yeah.
It's a fucking legend. I
And if
love
we go
this
to the
guy.
last slide,
This guy's so cool.
and there's just a few models. There's about Airfix do about 10 models.
There we go.
10 kits of
Oh,
the
shit.
Hurricane, but I think they're just like patriotically bound to British, you know. And then Tamiya have a Mark 1, which I wouldn't mind building.
Yeah.
Of course, you got Ravel with their 1/32 scale, and a Tallery. So
I don't think that kit's released yet. The 30-second scale.
No, it's still coming out.
yeah,
It looks decent.
I remember
I don't
there
know.
was.
Yeah, we covered that one.
Did
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
cover
we
that
did.
one?
There was an
Did we
uproar
cover that
though.
one in another episode?
Like they showed like CAD
Okay.
renderings or a test shot of the cockpit, and apparently they got a lot of things wrong.
Imagine
But
my shock.
yeah, but they
that sucks.
They did correct them though. They have corrected everything apparently, so it's supposed to be a really good kit.
I think there was a problem with the wings as well.
Yeah, I think there was a slight there was a shape change or something like that. I don't know.
Well, it's a Tallery.
You think
Into
Ravel is
what?
going to try to rebrand
What, a
themselves
decent kit?
into
Which
Hey,
Ravel?
a
is
decent
decent,
model?
Jack.
Yeah, a
Shut
decent
up.
company.
I will not tolerate that here.
Have,
No, it's not.
have you built
Their 148
It's
scale.
subpar.
B-24 Liberator?
Ezra,
You
Ezra,
did.
I
It's a
don't ever want
great
you.
kit.
Why would I?
Oh,
Oh wait, actually,
Go
I
ahead and
have.
build it
I
then,
think
you'll
I have
love
it.
it. It's
Actually,
it's pretty decent.
is it good?
Most
I got it.
legitimate
in the
Ravel
first
retailer. You know what really makes me sad?
What?
There are like one or two decent models of the Hurricane out there, and everything else is either Airfix with their trench deep panel lines, or a Tallery with their Italianness, and then you've got Ravel, which just refuses to make anything right.
Well, I guess they'd see like the 20
I have
Airfix
seen
kits and
the
decide not to
Hasegawa 1
bother,
to
right?
32 scale kit's really good for it, though. Oh, apparently so.
I mean, Dennis,
Is
what would
it?
you prefer,
It's not on
raised
here.
panel lines or deep recessed?
Deep.
Okay, you know what? I want to say
Yeah,
that.
same.
No, I'm
Deep,
going to say
yeah.
raised. Because
Deep,
with
you can
raised,
fill them with
at
paint.
least you can then use the raised panel
Yeah.
lines as basically a guide for where you have to scribe them, right? You can make them realistic, then just sand them off. If you've got deep panel lines, what are you going to do? Fill them up with putty or sprue glue? What kind of a chump are you?
You're sounding like one of those.
But then
Yeah.
you're
No,
wasting
you're
all
You're
your
just
sounding
put a
like one
ton
of
of
those
paint
guys
and
who
layer
hits
that
on
shit up.
Tamiya for being too good. That's what,
What?
you're sounding like.
No, I
Reevaluate
hate on
myself.
Airfix because their panel lines in real life would, like, in 1-to-1 scale, they would be like 2 feet deep.
Inaccurate. The wings aren't even 2 feet thick.
Shut
I'm
up,
just saying,
Garrison.
I'd go for the.
I mean, wings do
Just
technically
floating
float.
wings.
Okay, Dennis, as someone who builds vintage kits out of quote fun, I would take deep trenches over raised panel lines any day because I keep sanding the bastards off when I have to correct things. So I'd
Yeah,
Take it from
true.
the expert.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I bow
I
in
can be
the
good
face
with
of
that, too.
superior opinion.
And that's it for the Hurricane, I think. Somehow managed to get through that without
I
hitting
think
my
that
head.
might be our. I think that might be our
Alright.
longest one yet.
2 hours.
Yeah,
That was
Yeah.
I'm
very
gonna edit
good.
that.
Thank you.
I might edit that
It's
one
been
down.
a fun one, though.
No, you leave it all in. We gotta give the people their New Year's present.
Oh, God.
Their raw, uncut
Oh, the
MMP
director's cut.
episode. It's just well,
Yeah.
there's your problem episode.
Well,
worse.
on
but
that note,
different.
let's have an intermission.
Yes. You're back.
All right, let's do it.
This episode is brought to you by Autoloader Decals. Have you wandered round the shelves of your local hobby store and found that perfect model kit? Great tooling, fun to build, and look, you remember seeing the subject. Perhaps it was a truck in the ubiquitous white UN paint scheme in the newspaper, or maybe it was a Sherman tank from your local armour unit. Everything is lining up for a fantastic new project, one with a more interesting connection to yourself, instead of a project derived from a history book. Then you open the kit, and there are none of those specific markings to be found. Waterslide decals really put the final touch on a model, and unfortunately for the model maker, most kit manufacturers won't put too much time into designing decals that produce a finished model in anything but its most stereotypical form. That's why autoloader decals exists. It is their sincere hope that you'll be able to find as much enjoyment using these special water slides as they have. Autoloader decal products are primarily focused on Canadian subjects, but in general, if you're looking for markings that represent vehicles from lesser known parts of modern history, chances are you might just be able to find something worth trying. The waterslide decals are printed through an inkjet printer and sealed with a high quality varnish to ensure their strength on the model. Unlike most other water slides, these decals only need to be submerged for a few seconds and can be placed right onto the model. They are incredibly tough and won't yellow over time. For an added benefit, decals intended for 1:35 scale are treated with a special varnish that gives a subtle, painted-on look that's both in scale and more realistic than other brands' offerings. All the products currently in production are listed in the store page. If you have a custom design you would like to order, the best way of making this order is to send an email through the contact page. Generally, the cost of a custom order will be 40 to 50% higher than any products that are in stock to account for labour. Also, as a special deal, if you are ordering a set of custom decals and you mention the Micro Machines podcast, you'll receive a free exclusive MMP Pinju decal with your order. So next time you're looking to build a specific or unique vehicle, look towards autoloader decals. Just go to www.autoloadermodels.ca for all your waterslide decal needs. And now, back to the show.
Well, shall we discuss the hobby news on that note?
I think
we
we're
should.
down.
I don't care if Ezra is.
I'm back. I'm here.
That's fucking wild.
Okay,
Ezra,
yeah, we
you
should.
Are foul.
Okay, let's just get into it.
Mold on it.
Okay, yeah, we'll just ignore him. So,
Oh my god.
I've had to condense this down quite a bit because there's been a lot coming. So this is good old Revell is releasing their 72nd P2000. This is literally just a rebox of their 2001 kit.
Oh my god.
Look!
Oh,
Welcome to Ukraine!
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I really want to build this.
It's from 2001.
yeah.
So, it's a good kit.
Is it?
I do appreciate their box art. That's pretty.
The box art's kind of
pretty
nice,
nice.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, would your artillery get that close? But okay.
Yes.
Yes, it would. In Ukraine, it would.
Ukrainian howitzer doctrine is to shoot the T-72 point blank.
Yeah,
So you guarantee you don't miss.
exactly.
Exactly.
So yeah. So it's just 2001. My guess is they'll probably include Ukrainian markings. That's just my guess.
What an awful kit.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Freedom fighter.
Kinetic.
I mean, it's alright.
So this is in 48th, I believe, the RF-5A Freedom Fighter.
That's a nice
Yeah,
camo.
Yeah, it looks good. Is it something to get excited about? Don't know.
No.
Boring.
For us.
Doesn't make my PP hard.
He's still soft.
I mean, it's a good kit for if you want to do a Horizon Island, but that's about it.
That's true.
Yeah, I guess
Put
so.
yeah,
Yeah.
just
Make
like
it crashed.
Pinju all over the side.
Yeah, I mean, you know the rules. If you don't want to build it normally, make it Horizon Island. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Next.
Next up,
Ugh.
I saw
Oh,
this.
yes.
Sick.
I saw
That
this
is
by
awesome.
Blitz. It's just called the Yellow Cruise set. It's got a film
Oh,
crew
that's
in
I
it.
want it.
I know. I just saw the vehicle and it's like, I don't know what it is, but we need it. Who the
HIDF
hell is moving around so
propaganda.
much? Yeah.
Fuck, I just dropped the pie on my phone.
Good.
Bro, I can see chunks of mold on your pie.
I can smell it from here.
Foul.
Oh dear. But yeah, so that's just
Ooh,
a
look at the
half
hat.
track. AFV
Ooh.
Club are releasing
want that.
an M34 40mm GMC, so it's just a standard half track with a 40mm Bofors gun on the back. Looks
Oh, does it have
sick.
the realistic rubber band tracks?
It better.
Yeah, I bet.
Actually, that's the thing. There shouldn't be individual links or anything. It's who the hell's making all
Who
that
is
noise?
that?
Ezra,
That
I
is
will
Ezra.
kill you.
Ezra, clean up your pie.
I'm done. Okay, I'm done.
Okay.
The pie has been eaten.
Put some shit in your room. So echoey.
Get some soundproofing. I don't know.
Jesus.
Your mic, even.
The closet
Yeah.
was soundproof.
We'll
There
go
you
back in.
Go back in. Go
Whatever.
back.
Anyway, so
Hey,
that's actually
whenever,
that's kind of an interesting thing. You can't really do individual links for.
This is chaotic
Say.
as fuck.
Ezra, learn to mute yourself.
Jesus Christ, man! We're trying to be professional.
I really continuously mute him until he.
Oh my
that's
god.
fucking horrible.
Ugh.
Callum, on that AFE Club half
Yeah,
track.
go back.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
fine.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Whenever that comes out, or whenever it's fully released and they have pictures of the sprues for like reviews, do you mind sending that to me?
We
Yep.
could cover
I'll
that
do
in
that.
an episode. We might as well just have it in again because it's cool. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's funny thing is that's like the only vehicle if you put rubber band tracks that it's technically the right type of track.
Exactly. So, but knowing AFV Club, they won't have that.
It'll be like individual
It'll
link.
be 10 parts per link.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, another
okay.
fun fact: Canadian M113s, you should be using vinyl tracks for.
Yeah?
Yep. Because the tracks on Canadian M113s are rubber, but they're made out of crushed walnuts.
Right,
What
that's
the
right.
fuck?
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay. Go next. So this is from TACOM, the T55AD. So
Ooh.
That's
I don't
pretty
know what
sick.
this.
That's pretty
So that's-
nice as long as it's not too expensive.
Yeah. So it's a
I would buy it.
so T55 with a hard kill APS system.
We
mounted
talked
on the
about
turret.
this in our APS episode way back when,
Oh, you're
That was a
right.
while
That was
ago.
one of our
Yep,
first
yep.
episodes, wasn't it?
where it shoots a literal airborne torpedo in the general direction of whatever's coming at it, and the torpedo like has a proximity fuse, and it's got I think like a kilogram of TNT in it.
I feel
Yeah.
sorry for
So
supporting infantry.
where was this particular 55 AD used at?
Nowhere, never saw active like combat. I believe
Really?
maybe Chechnya.
Oh, yeah.
It's
That's why
definitely a
TACOM's
what
making
if
it.
It's another paper panzer.
Garrison, this is the HIDF, like the HIMC can afford one.
Yes.
Except you throw that onto just some random vehicle.
And they use the Draw's APS as an offensive weapon, not even as a defensive weapon.
I'm going to put that on my
Are
Beetle.
TACOM's T55s? Do they have individual track links or?
Oh, it's TACOM. They will.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, they do.
Okay.
Really? I thought TACOM was Link and Link.
No.
It depends. I think the early ones were mostly Indie Link, but they've gone towards Link and Link now.
I've built two TACOM, and they've both been individual. Yeah. So, if we go next, this is by Hobby 2000.
Yes!
They have a Brewster Buffalo in 70 seconds. Maybe, Dennis, you can have another try at a Brewster Buffalo.
Fuck off.
I think there's some blood there.
It's a goofy ass aircraft, and I hate it.
I love it.
It's
I
cute.
No,
love
that
the
thing's
Buffalo.
cool.
You know what really pissed me off about the Tamiya kit?
What?
Half the parts had raised panel lines, and half of them were engraved.
That would annoy the shit out of me too.
That sucks.
That does look pretty good, actually.
Silver Buffalo is cool. I like it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, I'd totally build one.
So this is Varga scale model. This is my new favorite company because they do the real weird and interesting. So this is a Vickers #1 tank. It's amazing.
What the fuck?
Vargas has been hitting the sauce too, apparently.
Ezra, you need to get him on the podcast, man. You need to.
He said he'll come
Yeah.
on in a few weeks, and
Did he?
hopefully I should be getting one of these soon.
Oh man,
Ezra, please make it HIDF. Put a tow missile on it.
there's the
God.
soup ladle of a tank.
I don't think he would send many more kits.
This thing is just what the hell?
Rip the turret off and put in a mortar.
Are those
Yes.
like vents in the side? What's going on there?
Well, those
No,
are for
that's
mud.
mud.
Oh, mud. Okay, yeah,
Like on the Matilda.
right.
Yeah. To be honest, when Vargas comes on, I'll be like almost sucking him off, just trying to get kits off him. Like
Oh, we
I'll
all
get
will.
it. Fast forward.
We all will.
he does, like he
gonna
literally
have his
makes
own-
the exact time period that I like to model.
Inner war.
He's gonna
Yeah,
he's gonna have like a little harem with us.
yeah.
He's gonna send a restraining order to all of us.
I just saw this just as a
Oh my
exactly
God.
what
HIDF is hell. Look at that.
So this is by Thunder Model in 35th scale, a US armored tractor, 4-in-1 kit. It's just a tractor with a box armor on the seat, and it just
Dude,
looks amazing.
That would be
half of-
perfect for like a Guadalcanal diorama when they're
Oh,
making
you're
airfield and they
right.
get attacked.
Yeah. It just
Or
looks
for
awesome.
HIDF.
Yeah, no, that's half of all of HIDF forces, just those tractors.
Yeah.
Horizon Islands Marine Corps Armored Infantries. They're not BMPs. They're these.
They have their individual tractors. You
Yeah.
like go over a hill and there's 500 of them coming your way.
They
all
know
have
they won't get
ERA.
bogged down.
Few of them have tow missiles on the front.
Oh god. Mount of 50.
Some of them have contact on the sides of the like 2mm thick plate.
Yeah. Get a bulldozer kit on the front. Minesweeper.
Oh god.
ICM are releasing a lot. So they are,
Oh wow.
That's
Oh yes!
so in order they are releasing an AH-1G Arctic Cobra. What's the one top middle?
I don't know, but I like it. I want it.
Zwilling Sokol.
Zwillingstockel.
So German 4-wheel drive with twin machine guns on it.
MG34.
That looks cool. You have the crew of a Stugner.
Yes.
They are releasing a KI-21. KI-21 1A Sally, Japanese heavy bomber, which I really want.
Didn't we cover
And
that one before? The Sally?
I think they've released like 2 of them now. I'm not sure.
I just recognized the background in the art. I don't know.
Yeah. I think the last one they released had a white camouflage scheme.
You might be right.
This camo looks really cool though. I love
It does,
I
it
love it
does.
when camos are outlined with like white or black.
It's intricate.
looks cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. They also have an American Expeditionary Forces in Europe, 1918. So both
very
both
nice.
the crew of the Stugner and the Americans, they are also releasing paint packs for them. So color packs.
Oh,
Intricate.
nice.
cool.
What an absolute
I-
flex. Putin tried to invade this country, and yet here the Ukrainian companies are turning out more kits than they did prior to the war.
Yeah, what the hell?
Dude, I want that American Expeditionary Forces from World War One and the
Yeah.
Armed Forces of Ukraine. And
I want the-
ATGM.
Zwilling thing. That thing looks cool.
Yeah. And then also they have in 35th scale that's a Skytrain, is it? The Skorsky Skytrain?
Yes, that thing is
That's in
going to be
35th?
massive.
That's 35th. That would be massive.
Fun fact: the
Awesome.
Sky Queen was actually that exact helicopter was used to do the final assembly on the CN Tower in Toronto.
Was it actually?
It was for the free pour. They actually used for because the CN Tower is one single free pour structure of concrete. They
You're
use
right.
these to pour the concrete.
Oh, that's neat. I didn't know that.
35th scale CN Tower with a Sky Crane.
It's just like a story tall. Made out of real concrete. You just can't move it.
I think it would actually be like something like 3 stories tall. 35th
It'd be
scale.
tall.
Yeah. So ICM are releasing a lot, and Revell are. But a couple
Yes.
interesting things. So they're re-releasing that
Baby Yoda.
B-24D Liberator.
Really good kit.
I wouldn't mind it just for the decal that it's got that big nose art on it. That looks cool.
Okay, that is nice.
Yep.
Or you could just have Dennis make you some.
Actually, that would probably be the easiest decal I could ever make you because you have to cut out a square outline anyways.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you're right. You just get an image and print it off.
Yeah, just take a ruler.
Yeah. So they also, because Revell have a partnership with Star Wars, don't they? So they release. So they're releasing The Mandalorian and The Child.
I'm sorry, all of these look like toys. They all
I
look
like
like
Trabant
toys.
though.
The Trabant's alright. The Trabant's
Yeah.
alright.
Yep, they got a Trabant 1/24. That's like the only car I'd want to make as a model.
Well, look at all
Maybe
like that graffiti stuff on the side. That'd be so sick.
Yep. Also in 48th is their Apache. Everyone's releasing a bloody Apache now.
That Apache doesn't even... I've seen images of it. That thing does not actually look like a model.
No? What does it look like?
So you know that snap-tied Apache that Revell makes?
Oh my god.
Ew.
And I'm not saying this because I hate on Revell. I'm saying this because I've legitimately seen test builds of it. It looks like a slightly more detailed version of that.
So you're saying they just got rid of the snaps?
That is basically a way of putting it, yeah.
That's awesome.
Dude,
Okay, but
then-
look, they're
No, don't you...
Here comes Ezra trying to defend him.
their B24 is a really good kit. Like, it has raised panel lines, but other than that, it's really good.
No, that's horrible, Ezra. That's like one of the biggest details.
I just muted his ass.
Get him out of here.
Yeah, it's an amazing kit. It has a raised panel.
Mediocre as fuck.
And then on the right hand side you have the it's a half track with a 37 flat 43 on it.
That's straight
And
up
a
not
trailer.
a model kit. That's
Okay,
a toy.
Ezra, unmute yourself. I need you to explain something you said in Sexy Armor.
Oh, I was muted?
Yeah, I couldn't see. This man's talking about how good Revell is.
What the fuck? I
love it.
I love it.
What?
Oh my god.
Going Sexy Armor.
I'm going.
Oh god, that's HIDF.
That is the most
Holy
HIDF thing I've ever seen.
That's so cool.
Ezra,
Oh
you
my
need a
God.
beard, dude.
An
That is
entire Soviet armored like company gets taken out by one of these.
Anyway, who was
Get this
next?
Revell shit out of here.
Yeah, instead we have Hobby Boss.
Ew.
So
Oh, Hobby Boss. Ew.
That's
they
nice.
are releasing in 35th a BM21 and a Scammel. The Scammel looks
I would
awesome.
like the scam.
like
The
it.
Scale's
I like
alright. This one can. I wish it a very pleasant death.
Why?
I want Russia to be divided up like West and East Germany.
Well, you do know that Ukraine uses those too, right?
Yeah, well, it's alright, but look.
Okay, get different decals, Dennis. Paint it different.
No, I won't use decals. I'll just paint it.
Yeah, paint over it.
Yeah, paint over it.
Yes.
Put the decal on
and
and paint over it.
Actually, yeah, it's actually not a bad idea.
That is okay. You know what? Hobby Boss is playing the long game here.
Yeah.
I want it.
They know what
Yeah.
they're doing.
It's nice. Alright, next.
Next up,
Wow.
Oh,
Ooh.
fuck.
Get that
What's
the
going
fuck
on
outta here.
here?
So the only other tutor kit is the horrible 1-72 scale Hobbycraft one from like 1971.
Yeah.
And Kinetic are finally blessing their mans in Canada up with a tutor 48
So
scale.
it's kinetic that okay. And this was from the same round of rumors that came out earlier,
Yeah,
right?
so guys, we know for a fact that the rumors are true, which means Taffy, Iltis, and Coyote.
Yes.
Fuck yeah.
So this just confirms it.
So you know what? You know that
Yeah,
guy
Iltis.
Scale Scriber on Instagram? The guy who literally like scribes every single thermal tile of his space shuttle into an old
Yeah.
monogram kit.
Yeah.
So he apparently did the riveting work on this.
Oh. Oh wow.
So you know this
That's
is
gonna
going
be good. Okay.
I Jack, you and I have to do a
I'm
buddy
getting
build
this.
on this.
100%.
I appreciate like Kinetic knows that they're shooting fish in a barrel with this because like every single Canadian modeler is going to buy one whether they like it or not.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
Don's gonna buy like 6.
Don's going to have like a stack of them that's bigger than what the hobby store has.
He's just going to walk in, pick up the whole stack, and go, mine.
Don's going to be at the front of Wheels and Wings outside the store, reselling them.
Scalping the tuners.
What an attractive aircraft! I really hope they do a Snowbirds paint scheme for
Attractive? The bitch is ugly.
It's not ugly.
it. Shut
Mute
your
him.
bitch! I will.
You're getting voted off.
And that's how he was kicked out of the podcast.
We never heard from him again.
Greg, how could you say that?
Look at it.
It's beautiful. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's like a pug. It's ugly cute.
It's wide. There's nothing
mean,
wrong
all
with
it is
being
is-
wide.
Yeah, it's just the Canadian version of the A6.
Exactly.
Garrison, these fly harder than any Marine Corps aircraft ever could think of doing.
Why are you using that as a counter? I could give a fuck about Marine Corps aircraft, Dennis.
Didn't think of that one.
Yeah, I didn't think of that one, honestly.
Yeah, didn't think that one through.
I will say they look a hell of a lot better with paint on them. I thought they were going to be this huge monstrosity of an aircraft. Like,
Oh, it will be, but in a good way.
no. I didn't have the screen up all the way, and so looking at the cockpit and then looking at the plane on the slides, I thought it was going to be like the size of like a C-47 or something. That's why I said it looked like an ugly ass aircraft.
Oh
But
my God.
that does look pretty dope as fuck.
Give people
Dennis.
who don't. Yes.
Dennis, do you know
Yes.
what I just found for I think $50?
What'd you find?
A ResiCast Iltis.
What?
What? We'll get it.
Show me. Send it. Put it in podcast planning. Hold on.
So, Garrison, just as a way to understand it, so these were built in the 1960s. They are still flying in full condition today. Like, they just make spare parts for them.
I remember back in.
Wow.
I was in 8th grade. They were holy shit. That's beautiful. I saw them fly over my school.
Yeah, they do.
That's
They fly
cool.
over my school as
They
well
were-
sometimes.
Yeah, they were doing like training for a show, and they flew right over.
So, like,
Ezra, get it?
to give
I'm
people who
not
don't
sure
know about
if-
the Tudor perspective, so these are basically all like 200% spare parts at this point, and their
Yeah.
favorite maneuver with them is to fly two of these at each other, like literally right nose to nose, and at the last moment pull away.
They're HIDF as hell. They're
These
all
would be HIDF.
aftermarket.
I
Bet.
love them. They're so
I-
beautiful.
I think I have to buy that Iltis right now. Actually,
Wonder if y'all buy it. God damn it.
but then
So you did
the other kit might come out.
It probably would.
We'll get
It
the
will.
other one.
See, Dennis, you go on about the Tudor. Just wait till I finish my CF100.
Fuck it, I'll just get
Oh,
both
I'm
Iltises.
so happy that you got that, Callum. I really am. You're going to do it justice.
I
Oh,
hope
whips!
so.
There we go.
Okay. So I think we've had quite. I myself have 5 work in progress. So
Jesus
yeah,
Christ, man!
I've
Holy
been
fuck.
busy.
Yeah, you have.
Wow.
My man. All right. So, starting off with old Greg. Top left, I finished organizing my modeling basement. It's a lot cleaner and it's organized so I can actually do shit. Like right now, I've been building the Tamiya Focke-Wulf. Pretty dope. Then top
Greg's got the
center
layer.
is. Dude, I literally do, bro. Like, fucking 2/3 of this basement is mine.
The pleasure room.
Top center is the current status of my Battle of the Bulge Group build 251 diorama.
It's beautiful.
Very
Thank
nice.
you. And then the rest of those pictures there are the interior just after I gave it an oil wash on certain things in the panel lines.
I got a question.
Yeah, that was fun. What's up?
How'd you do the tree? It looks really good.
Yeah.
That is actually one my mother bought me from Etsy when I first got into the hobby.
Oh, there
Really?
you go.
Nice.
But
cool.
I can tell you exactly how the dude made it. He got a dowel rod, a little
Yeah.
wooden rod, used a knife, shaped the top of it to be slightly spiked,
Okay.
and then he got what's that shit called? You can get it from like Hobby Lobby.
Is it like
It's like,
lichen moss type stuff?
Yeah, pretty much. And then he just like gets a layer of it, makes it flat, lets it dry out, and then he glued it on. And he did
Really?
like 7 or 8 layers of that, and that's all that is.
It looks good.
Oh, it does. Like, it looks amazing.
Wow.
And yeah, I'm glad I have them. That's I had 5 of them, and my cat ate 2 of them last night or the night before. So yeah, I think it was Ezra. I think that was on with me when that happened. I was a little upset. But
Sweet.
yeah, it was fun. I really enjoyed doing the inside of this half track. Not done with the inside yet. Got to wait for Vallejo mud to come in. But
Looks
I also,
good.
I mean, I got to listen to when Garrison was trying to put the sides up, the walls up, the tracks on. That was a lot of fun to listen to.
oh god, it was killing me.
You said it was
Well,
Academy?
Dragon.
Oh, Dragon.
He had to ping Floki on the server to get his help on it.
I did. I was going
Hellman
crazy. I was like, "Fuck, dude, it's just not working."
Well,
Man.
you know what? Good on you for powering through it, Garrison.
I'm glad I did. It gave me some more confidence in building.
Yeah, I love the rust effects. They look cool.
hmm
Thank you.
Also, those seats, they're hard to get right because I'm doing an interior Panther right now. The getting the fine line between the cage of the seat and the padding is difficult. So good job on that.
Thank you. I think the next slide has more interior pictures. I think. No, just the figures.
Guess not.
Yeah, I guess not. So this one shows off the figures and their placement for the diorama. Then the top left gives an idea of exactly what my entry, or not entry, but my Battle of the Bulge, entry is based off of. Was a Fuhrer Grenadier Brigade. They're going to be sitting at their line of departure before they assault the 80th Division at Herderschneid, however the fuck you say that. And it was like a quarter to half a mile from their line of departure to where they got killed. So it's like minutes before they step off.
Nice.
And then the Tamiya Falkwolf, which I'm working on now, and then the supply unit and Kittencraft Rad, whatever the fuck, that'll be turned into a diorama.
You know, I do like the fact on the Tamiya kit, they literally use the exact same aircraft from the kit in
That's
the
true. I
supply.
didn't notice that. Oh,
Yep, that's
What's
why I got the. I was looking, I saw that the Kittencraft one. I was like, you know what? If they have a Tamiya version plane, I'll get it. And lo and behold, the third F-109 I saw was that one. So
That's actually a nice touch, you know.
it
Oh,
is.
it is.
That's
And
cool because then you look and go, well, it's the exact same aircraft, so it will work just like this diorama.
that's exactly what I was thinking. And the great thing about Tamiya, like everyone knows, they have like 5 or 6 different like fucking decal layouts, so you don't have to do the box art one. But I mean, like, why wouldn't you? In my
The
opinion.
box up one hits hard.
Oh, it does. It's really nice. And then there's one more, I think. Nope. Callum, take it away.
So this is my Battle of the Bulge group build, Rumbea, so far. So I've done the whitewash and the chipping and weathering of the top, and I've just started on the lower chassis doing the mud and slush effects. I did lose one of my return rollers, so I've had to make a spare one out of my Mark IV Tadpole kit. The road wheel is similar. Looks similar enough to the broom bar one, so I just use that. Slightly smaller, and it's got a slightly different design on the front, but once you chuck a bit of mud and slush on it, you don't notice a thing. So,
Right on.
Yeah. But yeah, so I got all the details and stuff done. I'm actually really happy on how the weathering came out, especially on the roof.
Absolutely.
It's nice.
Yeah, how'd you do that whitewash? Like, what was your process on that?
So the way I did it is I coated the entire thing. So I did the summer camo underneath, covered it all in chipping fluid, and then I use enamel paint. A lot of people for chipping use acrylic. I like to use enamel. Because that way, especially for a whitewash, you have different types of chipping. If you look on photos and stuff, you have one that's like a sort of more wearing out, sort of blended, faded, fuzzy look. It's a lot softer. And then you have the hard chips of where things have knocked it off and scratched it and stuff like that. So there's a combination. So I find enamel is the best. So I spray the whole thing enamel using Tamiya white, and then I use Terps, thinner, and a paintbrush, and just sort of blend out areas that I want. Then I can go through with the chipping fluid afterwards and create harsher chips in it.
Did you say that you sealed the summer camo first, or did you not?
Seal it, and then sealed it with clear coat, then chipping fluid, then put the enamel on top.
Okay, gotcha.
So
sweet.
Yeah. So the broom bar is looking pretty good right now. I don't think I'll make a base for it. I don't think I'll have the time, knowing how long I take making a base. But yeah.
Well, it's looking great, man.
Yeah, love it.
So go next.
Oh yes.
Oh, look at that! Ah,
My man.
So this was a 12-hour build. This is the Pioneer 2 Hawker Sea Fury. An absolutely diabolical kit. Like, it sucked a lot. Weird thing about this, the texture of the plastic feels like it's got primer on it. It's got, that sort of rough textured feel.
That's cool, actually. Can you just use it without primer?
That's what I did. I actually painted it without primer, and that's the one good thing I'll give about the kit, is the fact you don't need to use primer, and the paint just goes on so easily.
Huh.
That's good marks for that one. But otherwise, not the best. The decals are yellow to fuck and broke up a lot. Yeah. So there's no decals on the underwing because those ones completely and utterly destroyed themselves. But otherwise, I mean, it's not the worst I've built this year. So, yeah.
And we'll get into that later.
Good.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. Yep, foreshadowing much. But I literally built it in 12 hours. So start to finish. Yeah.
Nice.
And this is what I'm currently working on. This is my Horizon Island Air Force.
Yes. So
this is a KM Models MiG-19 that I picked up for like $10. So what I'm going to be doing for this is I'm going to paint it in the original Czechoslovakian camo with the decals, the silver and the red. Then I'm going to put chipping fluid all over the top of it, and then paint it a Horizon Island-esque camo with roundel and whatnot. And then I'm going to chip it away at it, so you can start seeing the silver, the red, maybe some of the decals, the original markings underneath it. So it looks like it's just surplus that they've got, and they've tried to cover over it.
That's a good idea.
Beautiful human being.
Yeah, so hopefully it comes out right. This one's actually going to be a YouTube video as well. So that's what I'm trying to do, is revive the channel.
Very nice.
So that's awesome. 1, 2, 3, so we're on to 4. Man. So this one is finally released on YouTube. So this is the trench base for my Mark IV Tadpole, finally finished. And
great work, dude.
Yeah, pretty happy with it. I did almost have one big disaster with the resin. The only resin I had was polyester resin. And I thought I sealed the styrofoam as much as possible. Like, it's got like 3 layers of acrylic and whatnot. There was a pin prick that the polyester resin got into, and there's a large hole underneath it that's melted. Yeah. I don't show that in the video, but, and this thing, the resin got so hot, I had a sheet of acrylic covering it, as a dam.
Mm-hmm.
It might have started melting it.
Oh my god.
It was so hot. I put an ice cube on top of the resin, and it melted the ice cube in about 2 minutes.
Oh,
Like, it was too hot. I couldn't touch it physically. Yeah.
Should have cooked an egg
Burn
on
down
it.
your house there.
I could have, honestly.
Resin in my egg.
But it's all done. It's on the shelf. So, yeah, the video is actually it's one of my top trending videos at the moment. So, yeah.
Hell yeah. There you go.
Good
And then
deal,
I've-
man. And
then I've
that came out not too long ago too, huh?
A couple days,
you bought
literally
it.
the last 2 days of the year. Yeah, both videos,
Nice.
build and base. Yeah,
And funnily enough, you bought that during our first episode.
yeah,
That's true.
exactly. So, yeah, I think I did it justice.
Oh, you absolutely did.
Oh,
What the fuck?
And-
this thing.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it.
So this is my Horizon
Oh.
Island armor.
Oh man,
This is taking an M113 and turning it into a flamethrower tank in the most redneck engineered way possible.
Love it.
Yeah, them welds will hold, bud. I promise you.
So at the moment, I'm waiting for a delivery. I've kind of stopped work at the moment because I've got to do some wiring in it before I can make the fuel tank inside it and whatnot. So it's on hold at the moment. I'm waiting for some flexible LED filament
Oh,
to come in, because then that's going to simulate flame coming out of the barrel. So once
That'll be
that
nice.
comes in, when that eventually turns up, then I'll continue work on it. But for the moment, it just looks, this.
it's perfect.
beautiful.
And yeah, so that's all my whips.
Oh, that's me. All right.
Whoop whoop.
Whoop whoop. So I've just got the one page here. Just steady work on the Panther for Battle of the Bulge group build. And yeah, I've put together and painted up the interior there. Not much to say. Looking realistic. I don't know.
Got the juice.
Oh
Cabinet.
yeah, the juice cabinet.
Oh,
So
God.
I picked that up from Value Village for $11,
Not
and
bad.
what I'm planning on doing to it is like taking out those solid black shelves and putting in some new glass ones. Like I'm gonna get some glass ones cut at Home Depot and whatnot. Throw some LEDs in there, just kind of make it, just pimp out my shelf pretty much. And it's got the nice glass, like it opens at the top. That's like a glass door that opens like a trap door kind of. So yeah, you can look down, and I'm gonna have some lights in there, and hopefully there will be enough light to go all the way through with the glass shelves that I'll put in. But that's a little project as well.
Bro, the Panther's looking amazing. I have no idea how you got the engine looking like that.
It,
But it's
it's yeah, thank you. I made a engine appreciation post for that as well. Yeah.
yeah. How did you get that effect?
How did I get that?
Mhm.
All right. What did I do here? Let me pull the engine out real quick and look at it. Okay. So the full thing was primed in black primer. I just used Mission Models acrylic. And then I went over in German gray and just kind of picked out highlights a bit.
Oh, okay.
Just so there's like darker bits and lighter bits, but it's all still kind of black.
Yeah.
And then I went in. Well, the top is obviously white. That's just Vallejo white. And on the sides, I also did Hull red, and on the wires as well. So just to break up that black, just so it's not all one color.
Right.
Then I went in with some black enamels and some hull red enamels to just kind of blend them all together. And that's how I got the top looking all greasy and bold like that. And it's good for building up like greasy spots because it's a dirty engine and all that. And then after that, I went in with some rust pigments and highlighted with that. And that's basically it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Love it.
It's very
you.
well done, Jack.
That's typically my approach to weathering these days. So there you go.
Well, it's doing you good, so keep at it.
Thank you. Thank you. It's kind of heartbreaking though. I spent all this time on the interior, and I'm gonna have to seal it all up. And I
I'll
don't.
just get some final shots.
That's
We'll get
true.
some
That's
figures
true.
for it or something.
Well,
Then you can
I
leave the
did order
hatches
some
open.
figures, but they're gonna come in like February.
Oh, did you get him from the alley?
I got them from the alley,
Heh.
and it's
Oh,
too
that's
late to get
awesome.
some. I was considering getting some alley LEDs. Maybe provide some light for the interior. You can see the front seats and whatnot with the hatches open, but too late for that now. So we'll see what it turns into.
And when did you say you ordered this?
Early December,
Oh, you'll get
And
them
you're
soon.
getting it. And you're getting it when?
like end of January, February.
Jack, trust me, you're going to get them a lot sooner than that.
Yeah,
Maybe
dude.
we'll see. That's just what it
I
said.
ordered my figures that I got the other day, and they're supposed to be here January 22nd, and they're almost to the United States already. So don't worry, your shit will probably be there within the week.
Don't give him false hope.
Allie's pretty good at it though.
And who's... Ooh,
Oh.
this is Dennis.
Oh, God. Okay. So I had an eventful since our last recording. At work, I've been working on this Oscar Sherman 3, a British one. Just basically all I've been doing is I've been painting the stowage right now, which was a piece of resin off of AliExpress. Very, very nice for the $2 I paid for it. And then also we had a customer who came in with this 8x8 man truck, and I basically just painted up the cab for it, and there we are for that.
Beautiful. What are the dogs
Cool.
doing?
They're in Fort Lauderdale.
Fort Lauderdale, eh?
I saw 4 two-seater F-16s flying, but must have been 500 feet above the deck.
Fuck yeah.
So this is the last big
Whoa.
project of 2022. So this is the brand new to me 1/48 scale F-35A. And so I built this. I used Beltrabit decals, which if you haven't heard of them, he basically does all the Canadian aircraft. This one I've made as sort of a fictional aggressor because the news broke just after Christmas that we're getting 16 of these. So we've finally broken down and actually committed to buy 16, which means that inevitably they'll go to the Blue Nose Squadron, at least at first, and then they might even use them as aggressors, which would be pretty cool. So I painted it up to look a bit like a MiG, which is actually pretty cool because I took it into work and one guy thought it was a MiG at first, which was, alright, I'm pretty happy about that. But yeah, the kit was fantastic. I made it post wheels up, as I always do with my jets, and it's... I strongly recommend it, even to people who like doing armor. Treat yourself, because it is the best model kit I think they've ever made.
It looks amazing. Can you have the flaps dropped on it?
You can. So you basically have the option to make them either up or down. The front slats can be built up or down. The flaperons can be built up or down. They give you the option for the chute if you want that or not, and they give you this is pretty cool. Yes, this is a drogue chute, and these right now only the Danes have this. It's basically because this thing is so fast when it's coming into land. If you're on an Arctic airstrip, it would need a drogue chute and an actual braking parachute to keep it from running off the runway. Inevitably, the Canadian F-35s will have this because we operate off of ice airstrips made out of ice.
So the Tamiya kit comes with the parachute itself.
Yeah, so if you want to add the parachute, you can. You don't have to.
That is awesome.
It comes. So basically, they give you options to build every single F-35 that's currently in service. So no matter what Air Force it's with, if they are flying right now, there are decals for it. So I think there's
That's freaking awesome.
normally with Tamiya they only give you like 1 or 2 color profiles, but this one has 8.
Jesus.
They give
That's
you
pretty
2
good.
canopies. The canopies are pre-colored. And
What?
Yes, they give you 2 of them. So basically the idea is you don't glue the canopy in, and you can have them either closed, like a closed canopy, or you can have one that's open, and you can actively swap them. Comes with masking stickers, all that. I'm trying to think. So one other cool thing. So you have the weapons bay here. This is all one piece.
Wow.
Jeez.
Yeah. It's all one piece, and you basically have the option. You can build it in beast mode, where it's just got all the ordnance on the wings and in the internal base. You can have it in air-to-air combat mode, where it's got 2 sidewinders, or you can build it in stealth mode, where you can put 2 JDAMs and 2 AIM-120s in here.
Oh my god.
Or you could build it as like absolute beast mode, where it's just like every conceivable hard point you want to use.
And they give you that. They give you the options for that. There's like 12 different weapons in the kit.
Holy! And
That's
how many
so
screws
cool.
was it?
Like 6 sprues in total.
Wow.
And
I saw it in
one cool
person. It
thing-
was barely a kit.
Yeah, cool thing about this is basically all the parts of the wings, they don't actually tell you to glue them in.
God damn.
Like they just press fit in.
Are yours
I
glued in?
want this kit so bad.
I glue them in, but you don't have to. You can like swap out the flaps if you want, like just hot swap them.
Dude, that's fucking awesome.
So I'm
Good
gonna
on
build another.
Tamiya.
Straight up, I've always wanted to see this. And I'll also shout out to Beltrabits because like these decals just suited perfectly.
Those decals are nice.
Yeah. So next I'll be doing a JASDF one, and that will be in beast mode.
Do you think Tamiya will continue to go towards the direction of like the mask or the canopy they have there, or maybe go and have like pre-masked canopies?
I think it's kind of well, not pre-masked, but I think it's inevitable that they'll pre-cut the masks on the sheets, like they'll be indented. And you just have to peel them off like normal stickers.
That would be nice.
Yeah, I think that's probably the direction they're going to go in right now because you
I
still
would
have
build
to
a
cut
lot
them
more
out.
aircraft if they did that.
Yeah,
I agree. Same.
Oh, October not.
This is what I did right before the podcast. This is the discount weasel.
It is crazy. It's beautiful.
That's
It's
fucked
still
up.
pretty rough. And I will admit the interior is completely inaccurate, but that's okay because most of this will be actually hidden under a rain tarp, anyways.
Why are you worried about accuracy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say the driver's seat is from a Toyota Helix.
That's funny.
Fitting.
Yes. Oh, there's going to be so many things going on here.
I can't wait to see it. This is gonna be fucking awesome.
Well, I figured since it's end of year, start of a new one, I figured we'd kind of do just a bit of a quick recap on our modelling 2022 year, considering this is the first year of MMP, although we did start in March, so we've got a little bit more before our first year anniversary, but I figured we'd just do a recap of the year, what we've worked on, what we liked, what we didn't like, and also just like sort of goals for this year, like what you want to achieve or, just work on, improve, stuff like that. So just figured just a quick recap and yeah.
Nice.
Oh, let's do it. All right, so this is my little recap section. I have built 29 models in dioramas. 20 of them are finished, 9 are unfinished. I have 2 work in progress, the 251 for the Battle of the Bulge and the Falkwolf. My favorite model I built this past year was the Tamiya M8 Greyhound. That was such a fun little build. My least favorite build was definitely the Atlantis 1:48 scale Long Tom. That thing sucked. Never buying it again. I wouldn't even take it if it was free. It's just a trash ass kit.
What with those gummy bear figures?
Oh god, they were horrible. And then here's some pictures. I wanted to pick my favorite diorama to display, but I've got two that just go back and forth. So the first one is a top 3 images. It's my push on Cherbourg diorama that showcases the Tamiya MA Greyhound.
How long did you spend on that one again?
For making the vehicle and the diorama? It took me 9 weeks.
9 weeks, yeah. I remember all the whips from that one.
Yeah, that shit took forever. And then beside and below that is one I made for a history professor. It's a June 6, 1944 Normandy Bocage diorama, and it's got German infantry running down the road with American paratroopers behind a hedgerow, and then another one killed in action up in a tree. And that
Nice.
those were my favorite figures I did this year, hands down. Those were such a blast to make and paint.
Well, they're intricate too.
Yeah, dude, lots of little details going on. I'm so glad I found AliExpress because, oh man. But yeah, that's my little recap. It's been a really good year for me.
Very nice.
So my year, well, let's see. I don't even know how many models I've built. At the moment, I'm doing one work in progress, which is the TOW 35. I'd say the best model I built was probably the Tamiya 1-48-0, just because I was able to spend a bit more time doing things like weathering it and whatnot. I'm really happy with this, how this one came out. The favorite model I had has to be the Tamiya T55. Really liked being able to work on 3D printing parts for it and whatnot. I have to say the worst model I made, the Sabre test bed for the AK Super Chrome. That was
I got to get that Super Chrome. I need it for my F86.
It's extremely fragile. Like if you put your finger on it, it will leave a fingerprint, but it's worth it. It's worth it.
Can you varnish it?
I would recommend the water-based varnish.
Okay.
Yeah, and then just honorable mention to my Type 90 because that was fun.
I do love the T55 because that also started Horizon.
It damn well did.
It started the lifestyle.
Man. Such a beautiful piece of armor.
And which pissed off so many people on
Kitmaker.
I remember there was one guy in Kitmaker who was saying, look, Des did an amazing job making an abandoned T55, and I didn't have the heart to tell him, my brother in Christ, this is frontline duty.
It's operational.
This is one of the good ones.
Yeah. Some of them are missing an entire road wheel.
Who's belching?
Yeah, what was that?
It was weird.
Boost that.
So
when you edit it, boost that up.
This is for me. So models built this year, I managed to get through 15. Current work in progress. I had it as 3, but I did a recount. It's actually 4. So my best model built is a 2-way tie between the Academy 132nd Sopwith Camel F1 and the Camm 35th Mark IV Tadpole. Kind of ironic this year, the 2 top best ones are World War One. So
yeah.
And the worst one I built is that fucking Academy Feisler Stork. I hate that thing with a passion. It's just it fought all the way, and the paint and everything to do with it, and I was so happy to put it up on the shelf. I might have flipped it off a couple times every time I walk past it.
Sometimes it'd be like that.
Yeah, so this year, what I want to try and do is I might join IPMS Auckland. Not sure, still wondering. Hopefully I'm going to go to the national comp. It's held in my city this year, so then generally just want to improve on weathering. I feel, especially aircraft. I'm not good at weathering aircraft, and I want to try and practice it. So also want to try and do my YouTube channel a bit more. I kind of left it by the wayside from about mid-June. I just kind of dropped it completely. So yeah. But now I'm trying to revive it. So hopefully. And
you're
the
on a good
main
track for it.
yeah, and the main thing I want to try and do is I have my Trumpeter SU-152, and I want to build and document it and write an article for a model magazine. So, because I used to do a lot of writing when I was younger, so I want to try and do that. Big goal,
Nice.
but
That's a good goal.
yeah, it's a big one, but I might be able to manage it. Worth a try anyway. So, but yeah, otherwise, model-wise, a pretty good year.
Sweet.
Right on.
Sweet, yeah.
Very nice.
All right, here's me. I built 13 models this year. A little on the low side, but I take a while. I've actually just got the one work in progress, the Battle of the Bulge, but two if you count that fucking cabinet. I don't know why I added that, but two whips there.
Well, wouldn't the Iltis be a whip as well?
I guess so. Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, get rid of the cabinet. That's the Iltis. So I think it would be a crime if I didn't say the best model was the Tirpitz because I put 10 months into that thing.
Jesus.
Yeah. And I would say it's also the worst model built because all the fucking photo etch and all that. But I also built a Ravel Martyr, so that had to take the cake. That was the first time I'd ever used an airbrush. Actually, it didn't look too bad, but I've learned a lot since then, and I've improved a lot since making that model. So I don't know. It just shows progress, I guess.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. And so for 2023, I'd like to do more things and finish them sooner. Like, I can't be putting 10 months into a Tirpitz. I took a long time making that M3 as well, or M5. So I want to try to just do more things, basically. Attend shows. I've got a museum connection that I haven't really closed yet. Put myself out there more. And get that Iltis roadworthy. Weld that floor in finally. Yeah. But overall, solid year. Lots of improvements. Lots of stuff going on. So that's been my 2022.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, cool. So this year, I honestly don't know how many models I built. It was a pretty good year.
Not enough.
Yeah. I currently have 4 whips, a Matilda 1, a T-34, a Weasel, and an ADATS. I think my best model of the year was that knocked out T-34-85 I did.
Where the hell did that one come from? Like we just
brought
just
it up,
somebody's
like,
like, well,
Yeah.
you just went, I finished this, and I'm like, what the fuck?
It just appeared.
God damn it, Ezra.
Okay, so that was an old T-34 I made last year. And I just had it sitting around. So I decided to throw some new mud on it, give it another wash, and then build a base for it. And almost all of the stowage is scratch built.
Jesus.
That
Yeah.
Interesting.
helps.
And there's my watermarked photo on the totally black background.
Artistic,
It looks
very
really
artistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And then the worst model I think I built was a 1/100 scale Stug 3B from Zvezda.
Even that one.
Oh,
was
that thing was
amazing.
cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. And then my goal for 2023 is just to get better in general.
That's valid.
Yeah. Work on
I mean,
my
All right. Funny,
Says
funny.
the
Now
guy
what's your
who's
real
won
goal?
how many awards?
Yeah.
Not
6.
enough.
Thank you. No, I think my second favorite build from this year was definitely the M51.
That was cool. You spent a lot of time on
I
that.
love that one.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Or the Panzer one. That thing won a gold, which is really funny, considering how small it is.
I'm going to be completely biased. My favorite that you did is the Bob Simple.
Bob Simple for me. That was my
Mm.
favorite.
It says New Zealand on the plaque. Of course, you like the Bob Simple.
Yep. Well, it's
That was
Kiwi.
it was a fun kit to do. Definitely my least weathered out of any kit I've
Hey,
done.
sometimes you'll go a little light on the weathering.
Yeah.
Sometimes
you gotta go a
Sometimes
little
less
clean.
is best. Yeah.
Yeah, and then at the very top there's the TKS with the full interior.
That thing was sweet.
Thank you. It got a silver.
You spent a long time on that as well, didn't you?
I did.
I still don't know how you can do that in 1 to 100.
Thank you. It was a
That one was
challenge.
35, I think.
Where'd you get it again?
The TKS?
Yeah.
I actually bought it at ArmorCon the year before.
What company is it by? Or is it just some...
IBG, I think.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so at ArmorCon, it won a silver. The S-Tank won a bronze. The M51 won a silver. And the Panzer 1 won a gold. And so did the Bob Simple.
Nice.
Yeah, 2 golds, 2 silvers, 1 bronze. Wasn't too bad.
Wasn't too bad.
And in February, there's an art show at the high school. So I'm going to enter my T-34 into it.
Yeah, I just won an art show at my high school.
Nice.
Yeah,
oh, yeah, you were saying with the T-62, right?
Yeah, with the T-62. I never managed to get pictures of it, but when I bring it back home, I'll get some pictures and put it on
Sweet.
the Instagram and whatnot. But yeah, and I won a leopard out of that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Were there any other models or just yours?
No, it was just mine and one of the staff. Like I think he's a grade 9 history teacher. I'd never met him. I didn't know he existed, but he's an avid modeler as well. So he just gave me that from his stash because he thought I deserved to win.
That's really cool.
Send him the Addy for the Discord.
I will. No,
History.
next time I see him in, I guess it'll be in 9 days.
History teachers are the best.
They are. Oh yeah, I had a talk with him about the clean Wehrmacht theory. He's cool. He's cool. He's not one of those wereaboos.
Good.
Ooh, good. We don't like them
Yeah.
here.
No, we don't.
Well then. That was officially our longest episode yet.
Yes,
It was good. I enjoyed this one.
That was fun.
I apologize.
No, don't apologize, Callum. It was interesting.
Yeah, how dare you share your passion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well then, on that note, I mean, you've been listening to the Micro Machines podcast. If you've stayed all 3 hours with us, thank you. Thank you very
You're
much.
a real
And
G.
we hope that you had an amazing 2022 and that you have an even better 2023. That you build many models and that you find some happiness in it. Alrighty, well, anyone got any announcements?
Just got the Battle of the Bulge group build. Was still going on till the 25th of January, I believe. So still got plenty of time to build something and join it. You could win a Pershing and 35th scale.
Lucky bastards.
There is the Patreon as well that I will be uploading some videos. Well, some videos to it of various outtakes and bloopers and jokes that weren't allowed on YouTube. So if you want to check that out, that will only cost you $3 a month. So
Yeah.
Why not?
Do we have any Patreon subscribers yet?
This isn't
Don't ask that.
public
Don't ask
information.
that.
Wait. I mean, we have hundreds, don't we? We have hundreds.
No.
Join the large crew.
Oh dear.
Oh, and regarding the Battle of the Bulge group build, I'm trying to battle my bulge right now.
I was just thinking that.
Hey, yo.
Hey, yo.
Oh, it's
And
late.
don't forget to join our Facebook page if you want,
No
Instagram,
wearables.
all of that. Yeah.
No wearables,
Jack's-
no batniks.
Jack's
no,
over here letting the
yeah.
intrusive thoughts in.
That's what you do at the end of the show.
Well, we better end it. Dennis?
Yep. Thank you so much for watching and or listening. You have been listening to the Micro Machines podcast, and we will return hopefully next week or whenever we have the time with an
We won't be
undisclosed
returning.
subject. No, we're not returning. This is our last episode.
No, this is the last episode, actually.
Yeah.
We're breaking up.
Oh God.
I'm leaving. I'm leaving Ezra. Alrighty.
No,
Bye,
Dennis,
everyone.
you can't leave.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.